think we're live. I think we're good. This is new. This is crazy. This is the official. Yes, and chat is working. Thank you. God. Thank you. Brian Costner's here. Brian, great seeing you. Trash Can Ninja. This is great. Okay. This was a lot of work in the last few days, but I think things are working. So if you notice, we have a new layout, we have a new name. So I love doing TPN. I'm still obviously part of TPN. The Pinball Network is fantastic, but doing the Pinball Network channel, it was awesome. It was awesome. I did it for a whole year, and it was incredible doing that every week. But it is a commitment, doing it every single Wednesday, as well as the stream that I was doing for Flipping Out every other week as well. And so the challenge there was just, I don't know, new year, what's the plan? And to be honest, it's a lot of work, and so I'm just going to commit to one day a week, and that's going to be here. That's going to be on the Flipping Out channel every Wednesday night. So here we are, 10 o'clock. I don't know who all checked the stream early, but I'm able to like put a thumbnail and kind of type in what's going on and who's all going to be here and all that stuff. So hopefully that'll be useful to know, what game I'm playing or who's going to be involved with chat and all that fun stuff. But it should be good. Zach, thanks for being here, man. Bill as well. So yeah, should be a really fun night tonight. I'm excited to see how this goes. So this is the Flipping Out pinball stream. And my goal for these chatting streams is we're going to call it Flipping Out with Friends. Flipping Out with Friends. So, why not? Hopefully that gives you the warm and fuzzies inside and all that good stuff. But my name is Joel. Yes, so every Wednesday from here on out, this should be the goal. If you're watching this after the fact, yes, please join us live on YouTube on the Flipping Out channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And you should get notifications when we go live and all that good stuff. But enough about me. Enough about, I do want to point this out while I can because it's a big picture. Those are the speaker light kit. That's the Flaming Cities mod. Ugh. I mean, look at that. Look at how good that looks. So freaking good. So good. But enough of me. Here we go. So here's the 4 people we have tonight. Boom. Sweet. So these are the 4 people we're chatting with. If you notice, the layout is very similar, but one thing I did change is in the upper left, we did have 8 amazing sponsors on the Pinball Network, but what I want to do instead is really try to accentuate the people that are on here. So you're going to be seeing their logos and the things that they do, basically in the upper left of the screen or upper right of the screen. And then all of our windows are a little bigger. All of our windows are a little bigger. Brian, nice Avengers topper. I don't have an Avengers topper. What that is that is an achieve topper. It's an achievement topper. It's an on location topper. And basically I reached out to Zach Sharp because I have one on Bond as well. And I said, I have this big blank spot during my chatting streams. Do you guys have any like on location or pinball show toppers that you could send me? And he sent me these. It's just a thin piece of like, I don't know, not plexi, but like plastic. But it's funny. People all, what is this topper? It's a piece of plastic. Yeah, it's nothing crazy.
That I can get into. I can get into those toppers.
You can get into the achieve toppers. Yeah, they're pretty sick. But all right, well, tonight we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna chat it up, but we'll do our normal thing. Let's go around the circle. It's almost as cool as a tournament topper. Almost. Let's go around the circle. We'll start with George. Who are you? What do you do? And what was the last game of pinball you played?
My name is George. Let's see. I stream on Don't Panic Flip. I was going to say something about enjoying long walks on the beach, but that was not, I think, what you were getting at there.
Yeah, that's fine. You do you, man.
Yeah. And last game of pinball I played was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is right in front of me here.
That's a great game.
Thank you for having me on.
Hey, absolutely, George. I know with Turtles, by the way, my Turtles is no longer here in this house, which is sad to me, but it's at my parents', and because my line is full, and unfortunately I have Bond right here where Turtles used to be. But I know you have the precision flippers. I know I got to talk about them because Dennis is here, but I know you had issues with the original precision flippers, but you just changed them to the Halos. Those are better. Yes. You've seen an improvement there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Precision flippers with the Halos, and then also can't use Titan rubbers anymore in this. So I had to go back to the Stern rubbers because they're super bouncy.
Yeah.
So a lot more control with that combination.
That is the combo that I've had the most success with, the the Halo precision flippers with the metal bushing and standard stern rubbers. I like it. I like it a lot. Well, George, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. I'm curious, what are you drinking? Because it looks fancy.
This is a gin and tonic with a healthy splash of grenadine because I'm a child.
It's healthy. I'm not. It looked like a beer. It looked like a beer from here, but that is a healthy splash of grenadine. What is it? Unfortunately, I bond. Maybe that was the wrong choice of words, but it's what came out of my mouth. So, so let's keep going. Dennis, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. I do not enjoy long walks on the beach. I don't like sand. It's gritty and it gets everywhere. So that's sort of how I live my life. I co-host a couple of podcasts, a Collected Gamers podcast and the Pinball Show. And I do think, Joel, I knew there would be a precision flipper plug. I'm waiting for the next iteration beyond Halo. You know, I like the Elden Ring model or whatever they're going to call it. I look forward to that. But and I also want to thank Joel because this is the first time where I didn't just get like 15 minutes notice to fill in for someone else that couldn't arrive.
Okay, 15 minutes may be slightly exaggerated. Normally it's
there's
day
rounding.
Of.
There's
normally
rounding.
It's day of. Yes, normally it's day
and
of.
The last game I played was Deadpool.
Oh, you mean this thing, the Deadpool Premium?
Deadpool.
Well, I didn't play your Deadpool.
I know. So what do you think? I'm super excited. I'm super excited for you to have a Deadpool. What I thought was really interesting was you and Tony on a Collected Gamers podcast. So if you guys haven't heard about it, listen to it. It's a great podcast. You and Tony, though, did an episode a while ago, and you had a question about Pro or Premium. You went through the current Stern games of whether or not you should buy a Pro or Premium. And I remember when you guys talked about Deadpool, you both said Pro, and I think you had made the comment of like, I don't even know if I've played a Premium. Now that you've put more time on the Premium, what are your thoughts?
I would say that it is more enjoyable on the Premium, but if I were buying, I would probably buy the Pro.
Mm-hmm. And George,
and save the money.
George, you've had both multiple times. Do you have a preference, the Pro or the Premium?
I've actually owned the Pro twice. I've never owned the Premium, but I've played the heck out of an LE, 2 different LEs and Premiums, and just a ton on the Pro. And I would definitely go Premium at this point. If you took cost out of if cost wasn't a factor, the continuity on across the left orbit makes it so much more fun.
I agree. That shot is what sold me on it. The drops are fun. But the targets are okay too. The drops are just more visually entertaining when you see them, like knowing what to hit and whatnot. But that shot and bringing in that loop, I feel like it just adds a lot more flow to the game. So I'm a fan of that. And then, so Dennis, I'm excited for you. I'm glad you're here. And oh no glitch, is that a thing? Anybody else in chat want to type? Is that I think the stream looks healthy. Yeah.
On a separate monitor up here, it's coming through just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't.
I'm not watching.
Good. First stream on YouTube. You know, a little angsty here, but we'll see. All right, Mike. Yeah, what's up?
How's it going? I'm Mike, and I stream usually one third of the Pinballers on Twitch. You can check us out at www.twitch.tv/pinballers. Also, I mean, we do intend on streaming on TPN at some point. We're just working out days and how we're going to work that out. So you can check us out there. Last game I played was actually an older game, which is in the other room, Sorcerer, which I've had for a while actually. It hasn't been working properly. So I'm off for a couple weeks for the holidays, so I'm taking that time to tinker. You can see behind me I have the Playfield up on on the 8-ball deluxe, which I got working. I actually got working, but the only problem is I played it so much I broke drop targets. So
that's impressive, actually. Yeah.
If anybody's ever worked on an 8-ball deluxe, the drop target bank for the balls is a pain in the ass because it's got stand-up targets behind all the drops and everything. So it's a pain to take out and to have to replace drop targets. So I'm waiting for those in the mail. But anyways, Sorcerer is also not working, but I was working on that and I actually got it working today. So I finally got some games in on it. And I'm looking forward to tweaking it and getting it working even better.
That's awesome. That's all. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorcerer's a beautiful. Like I love the art. The art is incredible on Sorcerer.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
great game.
yeah, that's awesome. And then 8 Ball Deluxe, I have worked on that. Isn't that bank? Isn't it 7 drops? Like, isn't it a large?
Yeah, I have it right here.
It's like it's massive. Yeah, look at that.
This is the bank here. So
yeah.
yes, it's 7 drop targets, and then behind every drop target is a stand-up target. So to remove that,
Yeah.
you have to, and not only that, every drop target has a separate coil that can push up
Independently put it out, yeah.
individual or drop individual drop targets. So
Jeez.
on that mech, attached to that mech, there is 2 coils for the entire mech to push all the drops up, and then 7 little coils for each individual, and then there is 7 stand-up targets also attached to it. So having to take all those off was a major pain in the ass. So I'm just hoping I can put it back together.
I have faith. If not, you have Carter to mess it up more, right? I mean, that's
Yeah, well, it's always that.
All right. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate the 3 of you guys. I appreciate you being here. Chat and everybody in chat, thanks for being here. Sterling, I was waiting on Twitch. You know, I knew somebody would, but we're doing the best we can. And then, what is it? Finshiro here is saying Deadpool Pro, probably the best Pro available. I think I'd probably agree with that. Avengers Infinity Quest, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to go Avengers, the Pro... George, you had the premium, right? You feel the Pro?
Oh my God, the premium's awful.
Yeah, I agree. Did you say awful?
Yeah, he
Yes.
said awful.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. I actually, interestingly enough about Deadpool, so Deadpool and Avengers, I did own a Deadpool for quite some time. I owned a Deadpool Pro, and I did trade that for my Avengers, actually, that I ended up getting. But interestingly enough, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I mistakenly did this, but it actually worked out. I put the premium LE code on my Pro, and I was actually able to get that. Is it the disco loops or what? There's a mode that's only specific to the. Yeah. So I actually was able to play that mode on my Pro, and it didn't really affect anything else in the game, because all it does is changes the diverter for the ball going around, which the Pro doesn't do. So.
Didn't you say you had the premium code on the Pro? It was for a while too. It
Yeah,
wasn't like a day
I had it
or
on
a
there.
night.
Yeah, and you know what? For the longest time, I just thought that was the Pro code, because I didn't realize that there was a mode that wasn't attached to the Pro, and until I realized that, I was like, well, geez, I guess I'm playing the premium or the LE code.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. But Vintage Chad, I like Guardians Pro. Guardians the Pro is. You missed the light show, but I think that's probably the way to go as well. All right. Well, what are we talking about tonight? Well, there was a new game. Dennis, I don't know. There was a new game released yesterday. Hopefully everybody's heard about it at this point. But the James Bond, here we go. So James Bond 60th anniversary edition made by Keith Elwin. Keith Elwin came out. So it finally happened. Finally came out. What's interesting is there was a render that was leaked like a few months back and of this game. And I remember we all said, oh, I don't think that's real, because like these score reels, like this screen didn't look real. And then down here on the start button, like those were blank. I kind of had put it off as like, oh, I don't think it's real. And turns out, no, it was like 90, 95, 98% real. But before we dive into shots and whatnot, just going around the circle here, and then chat, feel free to throw it. What are your just initial thoughts? Does anybody have a strong opinion on what they've seen, or what just anything to start us off here, talking about the Elwin's Bond? Somebody go. Let's go with Dennis. Dennis does not fear from strong takes. So, do you have a strong take, or even just a subtle take?
I mean, again, because so many of the images came out early, I guess my thoughts would be that Stern priced it where I thought they would, and the scarcity is the sole justification for the price. And this is one of the ugliest games I've ever seen.
Okay, all right. So price. Let's dive into price. It was all over the board. There were people saying 15K, and then other people are saying no, these are going to go for 35. You know, and I know even talking to Zach, so that would be Zach Mini with Flipping Out, and then like Travis Muri with Triple Drain. He works for the pinball company. They're distributors. They had no idea. They had no idea. Distributors had no idea what this was going to be priced at. And they were told 1 hour. They were told 1 hour before. It was announced to everybody else what their price is. I don't know what that was, but I'm guessing it was less than $20,000. There's a profit built in there somewhere, but then it's technically up to the distributors of what they want to sell the price, what they want to sell it as. And what it seems like is most distributors waited until they saw what Stern did. And so Stern priced it at $19,999, essentially 20K. And I feel like most distributors just followed suit. Did you guys see anything different than that?
I haven't seen anything yet. I've only seen a few posts where some other distributors have posted that they're not allowed to post their price. I don't know if that's just a strategy to get people to inquire or whatnot, but that's the only thing I've seen. I haven't seen any posts or anybody indicate how much they were told from a distributor on cost yet. So
I don't know that answer. I do know, I mean, setting this game aside, I do know every other pinball machine that Stern sells to a distributor. I think there's like 2 or 3, and I don't know the terminology, but there is a price that's told to the distributor that if you sell the game below this price and we hear about it, you're in trouble. So there's like a minimum. Then there's like a recommended advertised. I don't know. Then there's like this is
like
Stern has 3. Normally,
yeah.
my understanding, Stern has 3 categories. There's MSRP.
Okay.
Then there's a minimum advertised price that you're allowed to advertise, which historically has been lower than a little bit lower than the MSRP, particularly for pros. And then there's a minimum sale price. There's a term for it.
Yeah.
That they are not. It's a breach of contract to sell below that minimum.
Got it.
So those are the 3 prices that normally exist with Stern. I don't know if all the distributors do it the exact same, or excuse me, all the manufacturers do it the exact same way. But my understanding is that's the standard approach broadly in pinball is those 3 numbers.
In this particular case, though, I believe when they announced it, I mean, distributors were told they could sell it for whatever they wanted, right?
Correct. But what's tough there though is I don't know the number. I'm just gonna say 15 because it sounds cool. But if everybody's selling them at 20, but let's say it costs the distributors 15K to buy them. Well, if they advertise that, then now all of a sudden every single buyer knows the profit margin and they're gonna try to call around and argue. And
right.
It's like, no, I know you bought this for 15K. Like, sell it to me for 16. You know, I don't know. That is a price that has never been averaged or like shared before. The right. I mean, I don't know what distributors buy games for. But either way, it's just the question was when this came out at 20,000. To me, it doesn't seem like it just flew off the shelves. Like I kind of feel like if you wanted one right now, you could probably find one. Am I right on that? Do you think you could call around and probably find one?
Last I heard, but I'm not interested, so I haven't been rigorously tracking this. And but from what I've heard from a couple of people who either work with distribution or were contacting distributors, yes, they were still available. The Stern ones went really quickly. However, Stern didn't say how many they sold direct.
Yeah.
And if you want it through distributors, last I heard, yes, you could still find them without. Which again, are we particularly surprised about that? At $20,000, I mean, very few pinball machines trade for 20,000. Even, I mean, really rare ones like Big Bang Bar would be maybe 25, and that's not even half the count of this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was like how many Elvira 40ths did they do? And you could still get those.
Right. It was fewer.
I don't think this is like, I believe this is the 3rd time Stern has done a game like this where you can sort of dictate your own price, right? I believe the top tier Beatles edition was that, and then the Elvira, and now this. And I don't believe any of them sold out immediately.
No.
I mean, Bond was still up in the air, like you said. We don't know for sure, but I would tend to agree and think that you could probably get a Bond right now if you want 60th right now if you wanted to.
I think and you're right. Those are all three of the instances I am aware of. And no, I mean, Beatles took forever to, they didn't even finish building out all the golds for over a year. There was so little demand at that price point. And then, yeah, I knew Elvira's that have been said, the 40th that have been said. The big difference, of course, is this is the first time we've seen Stern release a game, and the only mainline game, so to speak, and the only option is this very high dollar limited. There's not like a premium. There's not the gold edition that we can get at a relatively sane price point. You're either a whale or you're a guppy. And guppies don't get to play single level James Bond games.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, people are comparing this to the Batman SLE, and they're like, well, compare, that was 15K, this is 20K. You sure get a whole lot more there. And it's like, yeah, but 15K seemed crazy at the time because you could buy the same game for what was it? It was like 8. I mean, it may have even been less. It's like, so you had the premium Batman, and then there was the LE, and then there was the Super LE. So that's what's tough here, and that's what a lot of people, at least what I'm reading, people would be like, I would be all over this. I'd be all over this if it was $8,000, like if it was a standard premium price. But 20, they're just like, I can't. And my honest take is, it's hard for me to be excited about a machine I don't know if I'll ever touch. I don't know if I'll ever have a chance to play one, and that's something that it'll be cool if I can play it at a show. But it is weird. It is weird feeling like I felt almost the same way about the Supreme pinball machine was when it was. I was like, I mean, that's cool, but I'll never play it. I'll never have a chance to play it. So I don't know. I've seen a few things on Facebook. There are a few locations which are crazy and are buying it and planning on putting them on location. And I hope Pinball Expo has one and Texas Pinball Festival has one. But I don't know. Just the release day, $20,000. Trying to put myself in the shoes of a distributor. And I think some distributors were thinking, I don't want to sell any day one because I want to wait and I want to see if the demand is there and maybe I can get 25 or 30 out of them. And then there's other distributors that are probably right now going, if somebody called me up right now and offered me 18, I'd probably take it, that are almost worried about their allocation. So I don't know. George, normally when you're silent, I just assume you're thinking really deep intellectual thoughts that I would love for you to share.
I actually love this game. Like the more time I have spent watching gameplay and taking a look at the layout, it has a really cool amount of flow. The drop targets, the embedded LCD, the fact that it has 4 spinners, the little spinny thing in the middle. Yeah. Like I have a feeling this is going to be a really fun game to play, and I personally really enjoy single level street level games. I got Stern Stars and TNA, so that doesn't bother me. And knowing that Elwin's on the rule set, I think we're going to see. I think it's going to be like Stern Stars, but way cooler and with a really deep rule set. And what they did with the back glass, or the instead of an LCD, it's reels, but it kind of looks like an LCD. Like the entire thing seems awesome. My massive disappointment is that it's not an $8,000 to $10,000 game, and that it's 20.
So if this was $10,000, would you buy it?
If this was $10,000, I'd be knocking down. I feel like
all over it.
Yeah, and I don't even like 007. I don't care about
the
theme whatsoever. It looks like it's going to be a fun game.
Well, I mean, I think all 4 of us can agree, and I assume everybody else in chat as well. There's no way this game doesn't shoot well. I mean, Keith Elwin has proven himself many times that he knows how to make a game that will shoot well. So I have no doubt that it will shoot well. What is tough is code. I mean, this is something also to remember, right? This is the first Keith Elwin game that he's not in charge of the rules in the code. Like I think he has some input, but like Godzilla was entirely his brainchild of the map and the scope of the code. And same thing with Iron Maiden and Avengers. Like I know, like, okay, Avengers, like Ray Day was involved in coding some stuff. I think I think Keith had the big picture, and then he's like, all right, Ray Day, you can do that multi-ball, and just kind of let him do whatever he wants. But this is weird to me because this is a Keith designed game, but I don't think Keith is super involved with the code. So I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what the code's going to be like. I did post it in our Discord here, and we can take a look at this picture. Let me see if I can. Now it is super grainy, so bear with me,
Yeah,
chat.
I tried to read this on my phone and I couldn't.
And we're gonna struggle through this together. So, chat. By the way, appreciate everybody that's being here. Man at 20K. I know on location, and this was interesting. Dennis, you and Zach talked about this. Is there a chance, because this game's so rare and it's a Keith Elwin Bond game? Do you think this would be a game that would draw people in? Like, I want to go to that location because I know they have a Bond.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But it won't make its $20,000 back off that.
Yeah.
No.
You got to understand, there are only a certain number of people that will go on the sojourn to play again, and how many dollars are going to drop into it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
So-
imagine that many of these are going to be put on location anyway. I mean, not for the price tag. I will say, I think that this, and rightfully so, because I mean the price and everything else. But I just looking at the playfield itself, I think that this is probably the best street level game playfield design ever right now. Like I think it's going to be. To me, it looks like it. So again, I'm not like, there's a couple people in chat talking about, well, the game's not bad, it's just the price. Yeah, I mean it is the price, but
Yeah.
there is a lot in the game, right? I mean, 10 drop targets, there's all the spinners, everything. Now, I'm not defending the price by any means, but there's probably more underneath the playfield than your typical, at least like pro sort of,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
offering and stuff, like including the LCD playfield, and those score reels. They're more expensive than an LCD.
He filled out his node boards. Let's say that he filled out his node board. What's up, George?
I want to take a slightly different take on the payback. So I have access to two different very popular locations, day-to-day and yearly information on payback for games. And I've done a whole bunch of calculations on averages. But one game in particular, pre-COVID, I was able to get back a really good average across two different locations on the payback for Deadpool Pro. And Deadpool Pro, which is not the kind of game that is going to drive people to drive an hour or two potentially out of their way to go try, paid for itself in a year pre-COVID, and I think made 2,000 more consistently across two different locations, which weren't similar in any way, shape, or form. So if that game is, let's say, making about 7K and across two different locations, and this was the pro, so it paid for itself in the first year, then you also take in the fact that you depreciate value across that first year. There's the fact that it's a business investment, so it's a deduction. You put all of that in, and the fact that this game, I will absolutely go to Denver if any of the Denver places end up picking it up. I will go check it out. My guess is that it probably doubles that at this point, and add also inflation and the fact that games are no longer 75 cents or 50 cents a play. And this is probably $2 a play for the opportunity to play Keith Elwin's newest game. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it pays for itself easily within 2 years, maybe year and a half. And in really popular locations, it pays for itself first thing in the first year, rather.
It's a good point. Now, the other side of that though is like for 20 grand you can buy two premiums. So if would two premium games potentially earn you double that? Like I don't know. I get it. I guess this game isn't just something as a showpiece. Like it's probably going to be really fun. It's probably going to be really fun, but that's interesting. Those interesting numbers. Yeah. Let's do this before we dive into the playfield, because it sounds like Mike's ready to go. He's ready to go on this playfield.
I'm ready to
which
go.
Is exciting. So
I've studied.
Let's all squint. Sterling says that this looks pretty good on his big TV. So let's all squint together and try to make this out. So complete bond targets, light odd job disc for gadget awards, and light collect bond. So bond targets. What is this? Oh, I already had it pulled up. That's why. Bond targets. Where are the? Oh, right here. So right here on the left. Bond targets. Open a new tab. Very professional. There we go. Bond targets right there. Okay, so that you hit the bond targets down, it lights this odd job hat. I'm assuming you spin it enough and you collect a gadget award. That's the thought. Collect 6 bonds to start bond multi-ball. Any thoughts on how we collect a bond?
Uh,
Not
Go
by
ahead.
spelling bond. Does that not do it?
It's the saucer at the top left, right?
I don't know. Oh, right here. Complete drop targets to light lock. No, that. Collect
No,
bond
that's
right
for
there.
lock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you?
So
I
you
wonder.
probably light it with the drops and then collect it in the scoop, likely.
So this right here is where he's saying collect bond. I wonder if it's spins related, like so many spins, then this is lit, and then you can collect the bond. So okay, I'm surprised games are still default at $1. Oh yeah, interesting point. the default for on the pictures is still $1 a game. Collect 6 bonds to start bond multi-ball. So it's either just 6 hits to that scoop, or you have to light it. So bond multi-ball. Collect 4 gadgets to start gadget multi-ball. So that would be, once again, to do the gadget award, you're going to have to spell bond and then hit the odd job disc. So that multi-ball is going to take a little bit more work. Hit odd job disc to select villain mode. Complete MI6 targets to play mode. Complete all villain modes to light villain multi-ball. So that's a third multi-ball. MI6 targets to play mode. Where? Oh, just boom.
Right in the middle there.
Right in front and center. Okay. Shoot inline targets to light ball lock to start mission multi-ball. There's another multi. What is that? One. Where are we at? 4 so far? 4 multi-balls on a street level game. So boom, boom, boom.
Single level. It's not street level.
Please clarify that, because I feel like that is, you said that very, very, very clearly.
That's because I wrote an entire article about street level pinball. If you would like to go read it at Pinball News, I wrote it years ago to explain this. Street level and single level are not synonyms. Street level is a low cost design, no custom molded sculpts. They happen to be single level games. This game is immediately disqualified by the odd job hat. And nothing about this game was designed to be used by off-the-shelf parts to be easily, cheaply maintained. So it's not street level by definition.
So would TNA be street level?
No.
Why?
In fact, they got upset when people called it street level.
But that's all off-the-shelf parts, right?
Yes, but it wasn't designed as a low-cost, easy-to-maintain alternative. It's not. It's a whole philosophy. Gottlieb did the street level series. There were 6 games, and then Williams did one in the exact same motif called Harley Davidson, not the Stern one, but another one where they were designed to minimize breakage. They were a little bit smaller. It's a design philosophy designed to be at 7-Elevens and stuff, not arcades. And I upset Mike so much he left.
He'll hop back eventually, maybe.
I don't know. I said it really passionately. So
the more you know.
I think a lot of people think street level and single, like they say street level as a way to just mean single level.
Yeah.
And I get it, but it's like calling something with a pop bumper on as in place of one sling and are missing an inlane and Italian bottom when it's not. So.
No, hey, we all learned something, chat. I don't know. Just
I learned that.
Yeah, the more you know. That's what I'm thinking of that rainbow here. But well, I don't want to talk about the Playfield without Mike here. I mean, he's jazzed. Okay, so
not too jazzed. He went to bed.
Shoot inline targets to light ball lock to start mission multi-ball. That is there he is.
My power just flashed.
No, it was I upset you with my street level speech. I apologize. I didn't mean to make it sound overly passionate.
We just assumed, Mike, you didn't want to learn anything today, and so you were
custom screen in the playfield. That is not a street level philosophy.
So what I mean, what are our thoughts here on this? I understand Scott Denisi did not invent inline drop targets. I get it, but I just maybe I'm a TNA. I'm too passionate about TNA, but when I see 3 inline drops in a row and then it goes into a saucer or scoop and starts a multi-ball. Now, okay, the balls aren't locking behind the drops. So it is just, okay, I can justify it because the balls aren't being held behind the drops, right?
You have to hit them down.
Yeah, boom, boom, boom.
For every lock, all 3 of them for lock 1 and then all 3 for lock 2.
Okay.
Is my guess, right?
Yeah, that would be my thought. I get it. I get from, since he owns TNA where Joel's coming from on that. It's just to me, And not to, oh gosh, this is gonna sound so elitist, and I don't mean it to sound that way, but the like triple inline drop target thing is such an old concept that like Flash Gordon had those. I mean, they were littered in the single level. How many were on Harlem? Was it 3 or 4? Inline drops are a very old concept. Do not give Scott credit for that.
Don't give Scott. Okay. Now, okay, but the locking the ball, like having the ball stay behind it, though, would that be unique to Scott? Is that
only in that there was multiple drops doing it, because Steve Ritchie did it first on Stern Star Trek.
Got it. Okay. All right. So there's another multi-ball. And now it's getting harder to read. Mission multi-balls. So that was, we had Bond multi-ball, Gadget multi-ball, Villain multi-ball, and Mission multi-ball. And then lock 2 balls and Mission multi-ball to start a 3-ball multi-ball. Lock ball during 3 Mission multi-ball to light captive ball for jackpot. Where is that? Where? Oh, right here.
Right up on the right of the pops. That shot reminds me of Indiana Jones, the Williams. There's a shot right up there. It's in the exact same spot. There's a captive ball. It's exactly that shot. I believe there's a drop target in front of it, though.
I forgot about
again. This is an extra mech on Indiana Jones, but it's exactly in the same spot.
So and it's
that captive ball.
And that is that's a thread the needle kind of shot. You are there's a post there. You have this drop target, a rubber, and a pop. I mean, that is interesting. And what is that captive ball? That is for a jackpot. So, and you have to do that during lock ball, during 3-ball multi-ball to light captive ball jackpot. So while you're in multi-ball, you have to lock a ball. And then while you still have 2 balls rolling around, you have to thread that needle and hit that head shot. All right, I get it. I get why you guys are getting excited about this Playfield. That's actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool. Lock 2 balls during 3-ball multi-ball to light captive ball for double jackpot. Wait, they aren't including David Naveen for his work in Casino Royale. What do you?
That's not an Eon. It's not an Eon production. It's not an official Bond. That one and Never Say Never Again are not Eon production bonds, so they would never include those.
Hardcore Pin, how you doing, man? From overseas. Good morning to you. So you can lock more than 1 ball back here. They're saying lock 2 balls.
Well, maybe they mean consecutive, like you lock one and then lock a second one after, and like you lock one and then you'll light your jackpot, and then when you lock a second one, your super will light after that. Like when you lock it for a second time, not two together. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, there is a lot of
there's
like a little wood trough there versus a typical kick out tosser, kick out hole. So.
It could also be a saucer at the top left too. So you might have to put one there and the saucer
one over here. Sterling looks funner than the other Bond model to me. Maybe this is an unfair question, but if you were looking at this Playfield and you looked at Gomez's premium, which one would you be more excited to shoot?
This one.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's this one too.
I do as well. I love single level games, and this is very because of the creativity. When you're not stuck, ramps really actually limit a lot of what you can do because you have to accommodate those entrances to the ramps, and they've always got to be fairly straightforward shots. Whereas here, look at all these different weird things that feel weird because they're so disparate. But that's because you have the full space without the ramps. I'm very interested. Actually, the odd job hat is like my least favorite part of the layout. Everything else I really like.
So I kind of agree on that, because looking at the hat, that's going to cause a lot of havoc. If you have that hat spinning and then a ball comes and ricochets back near it, that thing's going to knock the ball crazy out of
And it kind of looked to me like if those those targets somewhat remind me of a single level and a street level, I would add, Silver Slugger, which had a bank of 4 drop targets kind of in that same position. And they were really dangerous shots without anything in the way. So I'm not sure that the hat was necessary, but I get it thematically why it's sort of like a cool idea.
So when I interviewed George, and he had said this on other podcasts as well, but this odd job hat at one point was right here. was right here in the middle of his game. So apparently that odd job hat was actually in both games. So having that, and it looks like it's only mounted on one post. It's only one post on the right, so it's not like you have two posts that you're trying to avoid. But you're right. That is going to recap, like, because it's going to get in the way of the MI6. But boy, that thing would have been beyond in the way on this game. So I'm actually very glad they took it out.
Yeah. I was kind of like, with Avengers, the spinning disc on Avengers would get in the way from hitting, the Captain America shot or the stand-up target occasionally with that too. And
Yeah.
that was in the top left corner. This is like front and
and
center. So it'll probably affect the game even more. I mean, maybe intentionally so, right? Like, I mean, you may have to strategically hit it out of the way to hit a drop target or something sort of thing.
So speaking of front and center, thoughts on the screen in the playfield? Is that do you think that's really cool? Do you think that's potentially a like my thought is it looks like it's held on with 4 screws, but is there a chance that plexi is going to get scratched and cloudy? Is this something we want to see? I mean, I like that you're going to be able to see your rules. You're going to see what you need to do. You're going to be able to see all that information right there in the middle of the playfield. Like, do you think this? I don't know. Thoughts on pro, con? Do you want to see this more, less? I don't know. Anybody?
I mean, I like it. Was the screen in the playfield was like the one thing I liked about Highway Pinball's games. I thought it was super convenient. Yeah, plexi, it will scratch. I mean, that's what happened. But just like, I mean, I'm going to assume it's going to be a lot like P3, where they say, when the screens are lit, you can't really notice the scratches. And if it really bugs you, you can always buff those out. So,
Yeah. I like it. I like it too. I think more games should have it, actually. I mean, you're naturally looking at that spot in particular most of the time when you're playing the game. It just makes sense to have an LCD screen there telling you the rules, even your score, everything.
Oh yeah.
It's just easier to look at than looking up at the score screen. If more games would have that, I'd be all for it for sure.
I'm with you. I mean, P3, that's one of the main things I really like about P3 is it communicates so well and you're not looking up. Like, I mean, I think it's cool that they added the TV into the back box on a P3, but I'm not looking up. There's no reason to look up. You don't have to look up. All right. So complete 007 trademark lanes to light pop bumpers and collect awards. So you actually have to hit. That's at the top here. Okay, never mind. I was thinking it was possibly in lanes. So this is once it's lit, then these, I'm assuming like a super pops or something. But okay, so that's nothing. I don't know. That's well, what there is a gate here. Oh, there's 2 gates. There's a gate here and a gate here. So there's probably times where to hit this shot, it would stop it and put in the pops, as well as hit this right orbit. It would stop it and drop it in the pops. So, okay, that's actually pretty cool. Action button, interesting. Hit action button when green to drop inline targets and light ball lock to start mission multi-ball. What you can control when to drop these?
Sounds like it.
Yeah,
at least
maybe
if you've earned the green light.
Win green to drop inline targets and light ball lock to start mission multi-ball. Otherwise,
so it'll drop any targets that are up, I guess, is from what it sounds like, right? It's basically
it's like a
spotting you a lit lock, I guess, right? Yeah, like almost like a boom for your inline drops.
That's kind of cool. Like I like the idea that I can hit. I have a button that I can control to just boom essentially open that gate. That also means that you must have another coil on all 3 of these, right? So you have a reset coil, but then you also have a coil to drop them down.
Yeah. Well, they may each have their own individual coil that already does that, so they would just activate all 3 at the same time when you hit the button or something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because TNA has that. When you start multi-ball, it drops them. But Z, yo, how you doing, man? Sterling, they made it where it's easy to replace the plastic. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, that'll be a part that I'm assuming everybody It'd be cool if they just ship an extra one with everything, but
Well, maybe there'll be
let's see
one in
what
the goodie bag. You know, they could, the least they could do is throw one in the goodie bag with the extra
Exactly.
sling
That's what, yeah.
plastics that they're going to put in there.
Yeah. And last but not least, complete ABC targets for bonus multiplier. So I was trying to figure that out. So the A right here, A's, and that's a weird. I mean, that's somewhat of an injury. That would be a tough shot. That's A, B is right there, and C. I was surprised.
C looks hard too.
Yeah,
C looks
'cause of
hard
that
too. There's
gate.
a post there. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a post there blocking it. So
This Bond 60th. What the F is this? Yeah, 60th anniversary. So this was just announced. Z. This was announced yesterday. This is the Keith Elwin 60th edition Bond game that is being sold. There's limited to 500 and is being sold for $20,000. $20,000. So,
yeah.
what else? So that's just me reading the rule card. What I'm gonna let you go first, Mike. What else are you seeing on this play field that's really getting you excited?
Okay, so I mean, obviously the figure 8 up in the top left is really neat. It's actually going to run you through 2 spinners, I believe.
If you
One at the
come down
top and
here,
then
yeah.
it will come down there. That's what it's going to do. If you shoot it up to the top left, it'll
Oh.
spin around and then come down the left side. So that's 2 spinners you're going to hit with 1 shot. Now, I'm curious to know if you can go the reverse. If you can rip it up the left and then have it come around the other way as well.
Why not?
I
Yeah.
didn't see anything like that in the video. That intrigues me. And I do, and it's very simple, but I like that little M shot on
Okay,
the
yep,
on the
over
right
here.
side. It's got just a tiny little gate there. That M shot, I don't know what that, maybe that's a mystery or something like that. You know, M is his, was it commander or something? I don't know. I'm not a big Bond fan, but and then that'll feed back to the shooter lane, I
Yep.
believe, right? So
It's an interesting
that
shot.
does look
Yeah.
kind of neat. Yeah, yeah. It's cool. It's I mean, when I looked at the playfield, I counted 10 or 11 shots, and for a street level playfield to have, you know, that
Single
many
level.
major shots is pretty good. Street level, single level.
No, oh, he was gone during the education.
Sorry, maybe I was gone. I need to be updated on the. Wait, sorry.
Yeah,
Single level.
Single level.
Single level. All right.
Yeah, no, okay. I like it. I think that's a unique shot. You hit that, and then
Yeah.
it just feeds it back over there. Boom, you're back up into the pops. George, what are you seeing on here that you said you're in love, man? You said you're in love.
Yeah. So when the video, I walked through a couple of the videos, and I'm positive I saw at one point I'm going to describe it a little bit differently first. In Deadpool, if you plunge and hold the left flipper and the ball goes all the way around, if you time that left flipper shot as the ball goes around the left orbit
Yeah.
and hits the left flipper, if you time that just right, you get your essentially like a ninja apocalypse if you were to do the right orbit into that by hitting the katana shot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting how the geometry kind of naturally lends itself to like hard hitting the next shot. And what I think you see in the video is an opportunity for looping, where both the left orbit comes back either to the right or the left, and then that feeds the right orbit, which brings it back to the other. I think there's kind of like a horseshoe combination shot that reminds me a lot of the Ninja Apocalypse shot in Deadpool. So I saw that briefly in one of the videos, and that kind of got me excited because I really enjoy that kind of thought and flow when it comes to the layout and the fact that you can. I don't know if you ever play that. Like I often try to play controlled, but every once in a while I hate being controlled and I just want to flip away and
Yeah.
like I hit the shot perfectly. And there's some games where it's a cathartic kind of like slap on the side at just the right moment, and man, you nail it perfectly. So I think that's a big part of what I might like about this game is the geometry of how things are laid out and how you might be able to chain a number of different shots together.
So we'll go through here. We'll see if we're so yeah, right there, odd job hat. You can see it's just one post. People obviously, yeah. So what's Slash's hat doing in this game? I'll give you that. That's kind of okay. So
It looks neat when it's spinning. It looks neat when it's spinning.
It
The way
does.
the effect that it has, it's kind of neat.
So let's talk about this monitor real quick. I'm not gonna lie. My initial view is I didn't think there were real score. Like I thought they took it out. I thought it was like a last minute. Like, did they take them out? It's just looking at this video, and maybe it's because we're so used to there being an LCD screen right here. And I don't know, maybe it's the lack of other art or something. It just, to me, it looked like an LCD screen. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until I really looked at it again. I mean, maybe it'll be a totally different feeling in person, but I like the concept. It's just I don't know why it feels interesting that hit that captain ball on its own. I don't know why it. I don't know. Do you guys agree? Like the reels in the LCD, cool, not cool? I don't wait and see. I don't know.
I don't like the fact that it's only 4. I would like to see more digits on the score. That's just me being, the type of scoring that I like to see. But I totally thought that it was an LCD as well until I saw the actual Keith Elwin post with the panel
actual
down
panel,
showing the reels. But yeah, I would like to see a little bit of higher scoring. Like you see the back right here on this actual shot you're looking at, your 30 points, 50 points, 50 points, that kind of thing. I mean, it's going to have an EM vibe for the scoring for sure, which is going to be strange for what appears to be a game that's going to have a lot of modes, a lot of multi-balls, a lot of things to do, stuff like that. Like, what's a super jackpot going to be worth? 200 points? Like, something like that. I don't know.
Keith
If you look
said,
up at the top,
go ahead. No, you're
if
good.
you look up at the top of the LCD, it actually, in the same way that like Jungle Princess and Evil Knievel, I think, or maybe the others, it keeps track of higher scores by lighting up 100,000, and then so every time you loop, it tacks on 100,000 and then 200,000. I think then there's a bunch of them up there.
Okay. Is that those little blurry? Okay,
Yeah,
I never
so
noticed
you
those.
do-
I never noticed those.
So once you get through 999, then it would be 10,000, and then it's
So
then
you
it
might be
goes-
able to get 50,000 points in the game.
Well, I think 100,000 is where it maxes out, but whatever it was, like Keith, I think Keith said on a podcast that I was listening to when he said it, they're like, "Oh yeah, well you could technically go up to 100,000 points," and they're like, "Well you'll do that, right?" Like, I mean, you're Keith Elwin. He goes, "Oh no," he said his best score in the game apparently is, I think he said it was like 20 or 30,000 points. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
So I do assume then though, like if we're doing this in competitive play, we take pictures of the little screen in the middle to get all 4 players' scores.
That's a good point. It's only one score. I mean, it's going to change per player, but yeah, at the end of the game, where do you? Yeah, good point. This I just noticed. So there's 6 bonds, but there's that one's lit up. So obviously there's 6 individual references here. So I mean, there's 6 more lights for you. Shoot, what's the ABC reference? I think the alphabet. I don't. So like me playing Turtles Code, exactly. Yeah, this is the similar scoring to Turtles. Yeah, I agree with you on that. That is interesting that the pop could potentially hit that shot for you. But what else are we seeing here? It just showed it again. Spectre. These are custom Spectre pops. I just saw that. Shoot drop targets when flashing to start villain encounter. So that's a whole separate mode. Complete ABC to advanced bonus. Complete drop targets to light lock. This is your extra ball shot as well. There's a shame it isn't a Bond reference for the letters. I don't know Bond well enough. They already have MI6. They're already spelling Bond. Is there another 3?
Bond was commonly the ABC Sunday night movie, maybe.
Oh,
Maybe that was
okay.
it
ABC.
from back in the day.
Now, up here, I don't like that it's 007, 007, 007. Wouldn't it make sense to do 007? Just a thought, but I don't.
That's what I assume. That's what it was until
we see
getting a closer look.
Yeah.
I will say, you know what? No one has mentioned is missing from this game. Bond girls.
Oh.
There's no Bond girls in the game.
There's one on the back
ton of them. There's a ton of them in Gomez's, but there's none in it.
That's fair, but
right
where would we put them?
There's one right there. 1, 2, 3 on the back glass. So they're on the back glass. And don't forget all the movie posters, Mike.
Right, but I mean,
on the Playfield,
there's nothing like there's no collecting them. There's no anything to do with gameplay wise, anyways, with the Bond girls.
This
Not
cute.
that that's a game changer or not.
Yeah, it's a good point though. It is a good point. But so this Q target, that's one thing that it's not mentioned in the rules. I'm curious what
I'm also
it's
going to assume. Yeah, I'm
tiny
also going
little
to
Q
assume that
target.
the button, in the rules it mentions when it turns green, you can do this. So I'm assuming that there's probably going to be more functions with it when it's different colors or something like that. That probably will be coded in at another time or something. Because I can't see them putting a button in just to drop targets in the game and that's it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So boom, 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 knocked him down. That's him locking the ball, and then it just kind of spits it back out. Interesting that he did this instead of a scoop, like a little saucer instead of a scoop. But
Aerosmith has something like that too with its lock. It's got a big long sort of saucer for the thing. Yeah.
No effing Bond girls. That's a theme strikeout. It does look cool. I'll give you the hat. The hat does look cool. I mean, one thing. So that's that shot. So that you hit up here and then figure eighted through, and it's coming back down. And yes, it's ripping both spinners. Now this was mentioned at the podcast. Think about it. Every spin has to, minimum 1 point, right? So that reel, when these spinners are going, that reel's got to be going quick, right? To keep up with these spinners.
Well, I thought it was noted that it's not a conventional score reel. It's using a different technology than it's not like the EM score reels.
Okay. But
you're not going to hear the loud clinking of the.
Okay, look at this, by the way. So there's a spinner here, there's a spinner here, there's one here, and there's one here. And if you notice, at this moment, all four are spinning. All four are spinning in that shot. So I don't know what sound they're going to put on these spinners, but you're going to be hearing it. I mean, all of them are spinning. That's awesome. Optical spinners, too. They're going to spin for days. Not to mention the hat spinning. This is not the game to play if you have, what is it, vertigo? Okay, all right. I saw this, one thing I didn't like during this video, though, is all I'm seeing on this screen is logos. So I would like to see, what are you going to see during gameplay? And, yeah, I don't know.
Probably to start, you're probably going to see licensor approval pending. Like in the Gomez book.
Yeah, good point. So here you go, Mike. So 10, 20, 30, 40. So technically you could have 40 plus 30, 70, 80, 90, 100, and then 110 or 100, 101,000 points is the most that you could have, right? So
wait a second. Is one of those 100,000?
No, it's 40. What is this? It says something top right here, but it's 40, 30, 20, 10. 40, 30, 20, 10.
So they could both be lit, like the 40 and the 30.
Yeah,
together
so it'd be 70
or whatever. Yeah.
And then 80,
then
90,
you have to do
100. Math. Yeah. Apparently they
$20,000 and I have to do math.
Come on.
The old wood rail era where they lit up the little, everything was just a light in the back glass, pre-reels.
All right, so that was that. And then here's game features. Let's take a look at this one. There is one video that's already come out of somebody at CES playing the game. And is this the one we just watched? No, because
no.
If you forget Kerry Hardy's video, man, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you'd get a kick out of it. I don't know. I can't say much about the art, but that's the same conversation we've had about Gomez's art, right? Like, it is very clear that this licensor is incredibly controlling when it comes to visual assets of Bond. So
yeah, the only surprising thing is that they have absolutely no taste.
I agree.
The art blades.
I mean, they do know that this looks ugly, right? I mean, it's a collage.
Yeah. The art.
It looks like a teenage girl's bedroom from the 80s.
So they said the reason this game doesn't have art blades is because they felt it wasn't theme, era appropriate. They were basically saying they felt that single level. Almost caught myself. Single level games never had art blades, so why should this one? That was what I mean. I think Gomez said that in one of the podcasts, was that they just like that wasn't a saving money. They thought it didn't fit. But at the same time, like you can see here in this picture, there's lights in the apron. So I don't know.
Well,
there's clearly
yeah,
stuff.
no, that we could reduce that ad absurdia, obviously. Like, why is it auto
launch.
put the ball into the into into the shooter lane? Why am I not manually lifting it?
Yeah.
Why does it have 3-inch flippers?
Yeah. I will say that I've borrowed a handful of games now from Zach, and my wife's never had a problem with it. Never had a problem with any of the games that I've borrowed. This
Except
Bond, no, well, yeah, she did. She was upset because Rush during is it the Attract Mode or Boot Up? But one of their albums has a naked woman on it. It's like a statue, and she was like, "What is on that?" Like she saw it. It was like hawk-eyed, like boom, saw it. But this Bond that I have, the Dr. No has 4 women that are scantily clad, and when it was sitting out further, she's like, "I want you to cover this up." So, unfortunately, I mean, you've got a lot to cover up on this artwork. If you have, I don't know, that's a problem. Now I understand you have like Elvira, like what, like there's plenty of pins that deal with that, but just something to think about. I mean, the entire artwork here has stuff.
Maybe the goodie bag, like Scared Stiff did. The goodie bag might come with like 50 modesty stickers that you can.
It's just little pairs of shorts to stick on all the girls in bikinis.
Little yoga pants. Yoga pants for days.
Go ahead, George.
Sorry, where your mouse is, like if you move it down to the bottom left, just above where it says exclusive 007 side armor, is that a black hole? Like, could they
here?
Photoshop? Like, is there just a gap?
They ran out of posters, so they stuck.
That's for the next. It's for the next movie. When the next movie comes out, they're going to send you a decal to put in that spot,
put in that square
with the new Bond, whoever that is.
You could tape in your David Niven right there. Cut him out of an old magazine. There you go. Casino Royale 1.0.
Well, whoever designs the best set of art blades is going to sell a lot of them. They're going to sell a lot, and somebody apparently needs to...
no more than 500.
True. The fact that the QR code readers on the left side, I saw on Facebook that somebody, they're like, any reason why it would be on the left side besides maybe the fact that they drive on the other side? It was a stretch. Like, no, they drive on the right side, but I don't know. Do you have thoughts on this, Dennis?
Yeah. Actually, it's because the QR codes in the EM era were never on the right side.
It's era appropriate. Okay, got it. Okay. I do like the blue. I'm not gonna lie, the blue over the red, and maybe it's just because it's something new. Black Gap. Yeah, people are enjoying. Nice job.
One thing,
so you can see it here. The score reels. It's balls in play. Okay. I mean, they're moving.
That's your players and your ball and play. Yeah.
What's up, Mike?
One thing I'll say about the cabinet. The cabinet reminds me of the GNR LE cabinet, where it had all the concert posters on it.
Yeah.
But it's too rigid. It's not terrible, but if they did it more like the GNR LE was, some of the posters were a little offset and they overlapped a little bit on one another. It looks like Dennis said, like some 13-year-old girl has Duran Duran posters stuck on her wall or something, right? Like if they sort of offset them and turn some of them on angles, just make them look a little, I could be okay with that art, because some of the posters are really nice. It's the way they laid them out that just kind of is a little off-putting to me.
That's a valid point. And they drive on the left in the lane. I was talking about like seating in a car, whatever. Between the living daylights.
Let that go.
Yeah,
I mean the art, obviously, the art is the art. I don't like the shooter rod look, but I don't care. It's not a spiky one like the old Bally era, where I would, when you try and do a slam plunge and then you've figured out you pierced your hand and you got to bandage it up. I've had that happen a couple times.
Somebody made a comment that they need to make a mod for Daniel Craig to have a gun because every other guy is holding a gun and Daniel Craig isn't. So I just thought that
It's
was,
his eyes.
yeah.
It's
I
his-
mean, he's just as intimidating. Those eyes are as intimidating as this gun. Yeah.
That's I've seen Zoolander. That's a Magnum look, definitely.
Definitely. I like it. I think that thing's gonna wreak some havoc, but it's an interesting point. Tournament wise, you have no idea what people scored.
They gotta throw it on the little screen. It's gonna be annoying to take a photo of it. But again, how often are we really going to encounter this in a tournament?
Complete bond to light advanced gadget. What do we have? That's an interesting, because it goes up, it kind of turns right, hits this, bounces off of this, and then settles in here. Like that's a very
and those are sweepable.
Oh, the bond
Did they
targets?
just sweep?
Yeah.
Yeah, did they just sweep them in the video? I hadn't noticed that earlier.
I think it was 2 and 2 they did the.
Right there. Oh, 3 and 4.
Oh,
Right.
almost.
But
yeah.
you could almost.
right.
It's
A
possible.
quasi sweep. Quasi sweep.
Same expression here on Daniel Craig. Piercing. Just right at you. That's, yeah. Another flasher back here. Gate. Just get over here. Complete 007 lane awards 30 points, 50 points in lights collect bonus, and then 50 points in lights extra ball if you complete those. I think I heard, I listened to the Insider podcast with Nate Shivers, and they interviewed Keith and the guy that's doing this. I think they said that the flippers do not change the lanes at the top. So like you can't change.
Oh, because
the
they
light.
didn't in the
It
old.
wasn't-
They
yeah.
didn't. Not until firepower.
Yeah, so actually completing this will be nudging. It won't be you just flipping the lights with your fingers. So that's kind of cool. I just think that's an interesting.
I think that's to deaden the ball to make it easier for that scoop to hold it. I think so it doesn't pop out so much.
Gizmonic, yeah, lane change. That's the terminology that I was looking for.
Yeah, that's a good catch too, Mike. Yeah, that was a common problem in older games with that use the kick out holes. The saucer approach is high velocity balls would often immediately just bounce right out of them.
Yeah, so it kind of woes. I like it. I like the way it. All right, what else we got here? Oh, we're seeing the drop targets again. Okay, you guys are getting me more excited about this. I will say I am surprised. I feel like Keith Elwin is very much a fan of the up post in the in lane, and that's the way to like stop the ball to load a mode or something like that. A little surprised there isn't one. I know it's not like I feel like that would fit in somewhat, but they must be using some of the other scoops or something to start things. This M shot is very unique. I will give you that. I don't know.
It's a bonus collect. There you go.
Collect bonus, and then I
Yeah.
couldn't see. Ooh, that plaque. Everybody loves the placards. And then we have another video to show off that topper we can look at.
Show off's generous of you to say. Spoilers.
I mean, the flow. Okay, that just showed that. So that guy, they shot right up the middle. It fed right down here on the right. It fed the right flipper. Boom, hit this curl, figure eight, and it's coming right back down here. And that's how all 4 spinners are now ripping. And then they're going with the left flipper straight into everything that could spin. You look at that? Because then he hits the odd job hat. Everything that you can spins in that one shot.
I am sure there's an achievement that is get all 4 spinners spinning simultaneously
With a
or
single
something
ball.
like that.
Boom.
Yeah.
Everything is spinning.
They'll probably call it spin to win.
So
Yeah.
when will we see? So yes, Elwin's spin to win. Nice. When are we going to see Elwin's next thing? This is it. This is all you're seeing of Elwin this year. Is what it sounds like. Video of the topper. Let's take this. This is an exhilarating 14 seconds. You guys ready for this? There we go. I could slow it down if you guys want, but here it is. Oh yeah. So it is 3D acrylic because these 007 are sticking out, and that was it, guys. That was it.
Well, at least it comes with the topper.
It does. But I know George was talking it up like they put a ton of art, like LEDs in here. So I mean, it's early code. But maybe that'll be pretty cool. I don't know. George made it sound like the accessories that were going to be available for his Bond were going to be the same that are available here. So I don't know. I mean, is this the topper that will go on the other Bond? I don't know.
Sure.
Sure.
Well, that depends. Who's standing in that little hole there? If it's not
Uh,
Sean, if it's not Sean Connery, then it's
Yeah,
not
right.
going to go
Yeah.
on.
It looks like the pose does look like one of the Connery poster poses, though. Isn't it him with the legs are crossed while he's standing pose?
That's the one
Because that's not the
on
normal.
the
That's not the
side.
normal. That's not the normal gun barrel pose that
Yeah.
any of them have. Because normally it's a walking and then a twist shot.
Yeah, that is what is on the side. Now, the guy that filmed this, I wonder if it's still there.
Bob?
It was Orange something Pinball. I mean, they have like 4 videos. Yeah, Orange County Pinballs. Did they take it down? Oh, they took it down. They had another video. They had a video
DMCA.
they had a video of actual gameplay, and the guy was bricking shots. So it's like, how are you bricking shots on this game?
Well, that was
It
what I
wasn't
was going to
good.
say
Yeah.
about the. Well, no, because you're looking at a highly produced, staged, video performance in the Stern trailer. That's actually what I like about this layout more than the Gomez layout. Is this one actually looks really hard. You all, not y'all, but you, Joel, have focused a lot on the two flow shots, the right orbit
Yeah.
and the figure 8. But everything else about this game seems to be designed to make you lose control. Those drop targets everywhere, while not as brutal as pure stand-ups, those are not all going to be safe returns. They're drops. The ball's going to ricochet off of that. That's what I like about a layout like this, is the chaos of that causes. This is not going to be, the tournament darling. Oh, I'll get to trap up after every shot I make because every shot returns to the flipper. No, you got 2 high-speed flow shots, and then everything else is death. As it should be.
As it should be, yeah.
Because I'm sure
Is
they
there a
went and
ball
said
save?
in the old days,
There's a ball save.
when you put in a dime, your ball lasted for 15 seconds, maybe 16 if you were good.
I don't know. It looks fun. It looks fun. I just, at the end of the day, I think Keith killed it, and I think it's ridiculous some of the stuff that I've read online of people that are like, Keith sold out, Keith blah blah blah. Like, no, Keith's doing his job.
Yeah.
Like, this is what he's hired to do.
I like that. He's not selling them out of the back of a truck on the side. Like I made my own pen. It's a $20,000 pen.
I mean, there are people that are very much like, I want to buy every Keith Elwin game, and it sucks that this one feels to be like there are people that are priced out of this, and this is a Keith Elwin game they can't own. I know there's also people that are worried. I think, Dennis, you've expressed it either on Eclectic or the Pinball Show, but is there a chance that Keith Elwin becomes like he's only on the Kapow titles, he's only on the high end stuff, and the average collector doesn't want to be priced out of a Keith Elwin pin? So sure, I don't know if that's Keith Elwin, like fine, like or if his boss said like, no, this is what you're gonna do. Like, I don't know. If you want to be mad at Stern, fine, but if I just don't know why Keith Elwin, why he should have any accusation of anything. Like, the guy's doing his job. I don't know.
Design me a playfield. That's
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
that's
I haven't followed this as closely as a lot of you probably have. I hadn't seen a lot of like Keith backlash specific to Keith. I've seen a lot of Stern backlash, which isn't surprising. As I've seen some people in the chat, and that's the fundamental thing, at least in my opinion. This game looks incredibly fun. Not $20,000 worth of fun. I'm not sure you could have $20,000 worth of fun in the footprint of a pinball machine, in my opinion.
Sure.
I maybe a few more years of inflation, we will get there. But currently, it's not something I would agree with. And the unfortunate thing, setting aside the like hardcore, I want to collect every Elwin, sorts of individuals. I understand that sentiment. It's so unfortunate looking at this layout, because given that it's a single level game, very, very unique, very outside of what we might call the Stern cookie cutter, which even saying that feels a little weird now, because I feel like Stern has been deviating a lot more in recent years than they used to. It looks like a game that on the surface of it, this is a game for players, real pinball fans. And the price excludes them because the price is
Yeah.
for whales. The price is for people that wipe their pinballs down with a diaper, not real players. Real players, by and large, do not have $20,000 to drop on a single game. And I mean, think about if you wanted this, Joel. I mean,
I know.
you could sell your Godzilla Premium and you could sell your TNA, and you still don't have enough.
Yep, I know. Okay, so TNA, the remake of TNA just came out, and it's a $9,000 pin, right? And so there's no doubt there's way more mechanical stuff in this game than TNA. That's not a bash on TNA. It's just there's a lot more drops in this. There's that spinning hat. There's 4 spinner. There's more. There's more in this game. So if that's a $9,000 game, if Stern would have sold this for $10,000, I don't know, maybe 11, I think they would have sold out instantly. All 500 would have been gone. But I just think it just would have been totally different. And that's the thing. Was this a Stern decision to make 500 at $20,000, or was this a licensor thing? I mean, is this I think somebody said in chat, I think it was like, Dennis, like the Bond 60th anniversary watch, those are selling for like, is this a Bond thing, like a Bond license thing? Like they like having high exclusive expensive stuff? I don't know.
I mean, my thought would be no, given that we have the Gomez one at the traditional pricing. So
Okay.
if they wanted to do 2 different flavors, I don't think that. I think the price is on Stern. I'll speculation, of course, but that's who I'll blame. It's a Stern decision. Obviously, if you decide to limit to a certain amount, you've got to spread out, you've got to amortize your costs out across fewer units. So that's going to be part of that. I do think that the bill of materials on this does look higher to be than, say, a traditional LE. It's not all that much higher. I mean, you've got all these drops. Remember, that was the defense of Beatles. They're like, you guys don't understand how expensive a drop mech is.
Yeah.
If this was, say, an unlimited run, like I could see why Stern didn't want to do an unlimited run of this, even as a non-cornerstone at maybe a more traditional price. They're probably, because once you get beyond like really hardcore people, most people, when they see a single level game, they immediately think you cheaped out. You saved too much money because all the stuff's below the playfield. So people and that was the reaction to two Beatles was there's no mech. Like if you don't see ramps, you think that they saved a bunch of money.
Yeah, but they didn't. Yeah, ramps are just typically. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, ramps are typically just the long plastic and a couple switches attached to them, right? And I mean, there's really nothing more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, ramps in and of themselves, to me, aren't typically an expensive item. It's more the mechs than anything else that really raise the bomb on the game. And I do feel like there's a lot of there's a fair amount of bomb in this game for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But there's not $20,000 worth.
Yeah.
I'm sad because I think I would fall in love with the game playing it. It does look like an incredible game. If I had a choice between this one and the Gomez one, price aside, I would probably choose this one over it. But sadly, I may not even ever get a chance to play it, and that kind of makes me sad because I'd love to see it down here one day, but that is never going to happen.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think it's a very appealing game. Of course, I did buy a TNA new, so I'm willing to commit on a single level game new in box, and this layout. I'm not huge in the Bond. I've seen all the Bond movies, but I'm not huge into I'm not a Bond fanboy. But the gameplay, I mean, I'm not a Godzilla fanboy either, but it's the gameplay that I think so. I mean, the only thing I feel like when I look at this that seemed like that they that I felt like looking at it, they cheaped out on is they should have put in four score reels, not just one in the back. Yeah. That's the only thing I do different on the mechs. Is I'm like, hey, if we're paying $20,000, player 1 through player 4 should have their own score reels.
Well, obviously that's not the 4 when it fit in the size of the LCD. You would have been up in the actual back glass. But I see what you're saying, and yeah,
given how the glass looks, we can go up there. It's okay.
Yeah, I totally like this game. I just never got super excited about it because I knew regardless whether it was low end 15 or upwards of 20 to 30. Like no, this is a pinball machine. I don't care how great it is. There's no way I could own it. I'm not in a position where I'm going to sell my entire collection to own one game. But now that I've seen it, looking at the rules, looking at the layout, I have no doubt this game will be fun to play. This game looks fun to play. This game looks fun to shoot. Congrats to the people that can afford a $20,000 game. Thank you to the people that are going to buy this and put it on location for some of us to play. I'm pretty confident if they have any of these at TPF or any of the expos, there's probably going to be a good line of people waiting to play them. But I don't know. It is a bummer that for so many of us, we can't justify it at $20,000.
Yeah, but I will point out what Fight Cave said in the chat. Ultimately, it isn't the biggest deal. It's not really a big deal in the world. We got a lot of pinball that we are able to access. So I am more concerned, as I've expressed ad nauseum on podcasts, about that this might be a prelude. I fear that it's a prelude to what we saw with Lyman. When you think back, and his last pro was in 2014 when he did Walking Dead, and he was with Stern for years after that, and he was always behind the paywall. Yeah. Never an approachable game for the average person. And an average is being generous, because going out and buying a new in-box pro is a pretty serious commitment in this hobby, even back then. So I just, I always have that little fear in my mind, because it's not just about what I can afford. It's like, if everything's upper end, it's hard for my locations to want to operate those games, because they just don't make enough of a difference. Why buy? It's why we don't see JJPs very much around here. It's like, why buy that game? Even if it gets you like a 20-25% improved coin drop, it's still not making up the difference fast enough versus just buying another pro.
Yeah, that's a great point. I see here Fight Cave had asked, will we see more LCD screens in the playfield? I think we'd all be up for it. I like the concept of it, but the truth is, the way the CPU is currently set up in the Stern games, it's made for one LCD, and this one doesn't have it. So to put it down there wasn't a big deal. But I do know you have a game like Batman that had the little TV screen, so that needed a separate node board. So theoretically, could they do games with two screens, kind of like JJP does? They could, but I don't know if they're going to make that a standard. Oh, Star Wars, yeah.
Star Wars
okay,
too.
So they absolutely could, but will they?
Never underestimate, though, Stern's willingness to never use a good idea again. Well, and I don't mean it like, I didn't mean it quite that funny, but my case in point is, and I point to, it might have been your interview, Joel, with Gomez, when there was the question asked about the Stranger Things and the UV thing, the UV and the projection mapping. He was like, well, oh no, yeah, we got to find the right game, but we could use it again. I was like, y'all ain't ever using it again, are you?
Yeah. Hey, Tom.
And that was a lot. That was so cool. It was a lot of work too, and I'm just like, for one game.
Yeah, all that work. Well, once again, George, I feel like you've really been a lot of thought. Do you have any final thoughts on Bond here?
Yeah. Do you guys ever see the movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and
Danny DeVito? Yeah.
I feel like this is the Danny DeVito situation, which is really interesting. I just ran a whole bunch of numbers. Assuming that they're selling these to distributors, I just took a guess at like 17.5. That means the absolute max they could make would be 8.7 million off of the sale of these 500 games. And if they had to pay anything for the license to get access to all of these different movies, that's taking a significant chunk out of that. Not on top of that, you had to pay for software development, game design, mechanics, integration, LCD art, the fact that they're using reels in a way that I can't imagine Stern has a ton of recent engineering background. Like they probably paid, let's say, 10 people worth at least 1 year's salary on a game like this. And there's just not a lot of profit unless this was basically I think an afterthought. And they gave it to their best designer as a in between cornerstones kind of thing, which I think somebody mentioned above that George Gomez confirmed, or Elwin confirmed he's in between. So it sucks that it's so pricey. I think this wouldn't have happened in any other way, because I just don't like imagine they're spending, I don't know, between 7,500 and maybe 8,500 on just the bomb for this game. There's so much in it, and the fact that it's not a home pin, it has all of the coin drop based mechanics, and I don't know what else goes into a non home pin version that makes that slight difference. But like it's just weird to me that they even did this, because I don't see it as being even at 20,000, I don't see it as being a massive moneymaker for them at all.
I don't know. We're not going to know the math. We don't know. I mean, for all we know, it costs Stern $5,000 to build that, each one of these, and they're selling them
Even at
for,
$5,000?
yeah. But I don't know. I don't know. There's smarter people than me that are running that. Obviously, this is profitable in some capacity for Stern, but I thought it was George that said in one interview that it was the licensor that said, "Could you make us an older game?" Like an older, like it was the licensor that presented it to them, and they're like, yeah, I think we could do that." And so it seemed like it was kind of an after, and I have no idea. Maybe the licensor's like, "Oh, well, what can you give us?" And I don't know. I don't know. Go ahead, Dennis.
I was just gonna say, I like what George just pointed out. I'm not sure this game specifically is a huge financial windfall for Stern, but I think it's an experiment that might pay dividends. I think they were really wondering, like, what's the whale market really like? What if we take our best designer per public opinion and put him on a game, and even if it's single level and we do some throwback look, like are they all gonna sell out at 20,000? How fast will it take us to sell them all out? I mean, I'm sure they've sold them all to the distros, so they've sold it out from their perspective. So given that, that might be an interesting lesson for them in terms of future LE pricing, or maybe where to price their SLEs on Back to the Future for when that comes out in a couple of years.
It's a good point. And I mean, sure, Stern sold out of them, but they're going to hear distributor feedback. They're going to be like, "Hey, that we were kind of stuck with those." Or, I mean, there's other games they're stuck with. But yeah, I hope, I think that's what we're saying. I hope this is not a glimpse of the future. I don't want all Keith Elwin things from here on out to be, like outside of a normal pro buyer. I don't want that, because if that means less that are going to be on location, it's going to be less that people are going to be able to play. But
I mean,
yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
It is an interesting design. It's not like they just took a layout and threw four horseshoe shots on it.
Didn't they? Wouldn't they have looked at maybe the Toy Story and the backlash that happened with that, and the price of the Toy Story even being significantly less? And I would argue there's probably just as much in Toy Story as there is in this game. And asset wise, I don't know if there's a huge cost difference between Well, I mean, we're talking Toy Story 4, not but I mean, to me, the Jersey Jack took a bit of a risk, and it seems to not have been working out too well for them so far. Mind you, they're making more than 500 games, or at least intended to. So I mean, I think Stern is. I think you're right. I think it's an experiment, and I think 500 is probably the right number to be at. They may have tried something with, previous, the Beatles and whatnot. They didn't successfully sell through all those. So 500 seems like a good number to start with and see where it goes, and maybe move forward with, higher priced LEs or more of these games coming down the road. Who knows?
Good point. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I hope my view is I hope there's one at Texas. I hope there's one at Texas Pinball Festival, so I'll have a chance to play it. But either way, I'd say, great job, Keith. I think you designed a really cool looking game that looks really fun. But unfortunately, I can't afford one. So go ahead, George.
I have a fun question. I mean, I feel like Bond, the standard version, came out to a kind of just a lukewarm reception in general. I don't feel like I've heard anybody talk about how amazing Bond is. The Pro, the Premium, and the LE.
Yeah.
Now that this has come out, I even care less about that. It's. Does anyone else feel similarly? Like
you're not wrong. And as as I think multiple of us have known or heard from others from our our distributor contacts and such. This game Bond, regular vanilla Bond, as we may call it. It is not. It sold strong initially. Those sales have fallen off a cliff. There are no rules in it.
Yeah. There's
and I do not blame Stern for that. I think it is the licensor, and I will say I don't think Stern ever works with this licensor ever again. I think it has been an unmitigated disaster that has done nothing but make Stern look borderline incompetent on their marketing and release of these games. From this game being delayed, I am sure is from the licensor. I'll just go ahead and just make that up and claim that. Along with why the rules are on 0.8 on James Bond. When you're having James Bond launch parties on Dr. No Pros that don't have the Dr. No mode selectable, even though he's a light in the playfield. I mean, just absolutely asinine. You think, the first thing everyone got all up in arms about was the 2-week delay from their original launch due to the Queen's death, and then they launch it, it's still not ready. And it's like,
yeah.
I had heard the report that their person it's the person having to approve every single screen asset that is shown on the display, just taking forever for whatever reason. But the bottom line is, this is, since I've been in the hobby since 2012, this is the worst launch by Stern I have ever witnessed, even though it is not the worst game they have dropped in that time period. So yes, I do think this does nothing more but move the narrative away, except I think most of the wind is out of the sails of Bond. Bond will need like a Guardians or Stranger Things bump. Like, that code's got to get really good for people to ever care about that game, because unfortunately they missed the hype window on it.
And maybe somebody will be lucky where they're like, oh yeah, I bought it used, and that guy lost X number of money, I got it used and then waited and camped on it, and then boom, the code ends up being incredible. I mean, I know Gomez is super passionate about the game. I know what all he wants it to be. It's just like, right now, to be 100% honest, like, I have one. It's sitting right here, and I try to put a game or two on it every few days just to do it, but I just don't get excited to play it. And it's just, the code's just not there. And on top of that, you can't stack anything. So starting one mode, if you accidentally start another, it kills the first mode.
Mm-hmm.
George has said that on Facebook, like, it's coming. It's just okay, then I'll wait to play it.
The stacking is because there are already rumors going around that the license, because it's not how the movies were, is prohibiting certain stacking. Like, you can't be in jetpack mode and do another movies mode because that jetpack wasn't in that movie. And I'm like,
they teach these people how pinball works, though. Like, I mean,
not successfully.
It's the nature of the game.
Not successfully.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I get, if this is with Eon Productions directly or it's some other company that manages their light, I cannot imagine Stern ever deals with these people ever again. It cannot be worth it.
Yeah. It's a shame. But we're just gonna have to see. George will understand this comment. I bet they don't have a strong branching strategy in the code pipeline. That's a nerd song. I don't know. Enjoy that, George. George enjoyed it. He smiled. Thank you, Tommy. All right. So, speaking of things that we enjoy, there we go. Let's talk about good machines, games that were made last year. So this is the TWIPYs. So we have 2 awards coming up soon. So first off, TWIPYs. The voting is going on right now. But then also we have the Pinball Awards. So it is, what is it? We dropped the right? So pinballawards.com.
Pinball Awards.
Yeah. So if you type in pinballawards.com, what you will see is it'll relink you to the pinballindustry.awards.com. Right now, we are looking for judges. So if you're a streamer, if you're a podcaster, if you make pinball content, please feel free to apply to be a judge. Is there a link for that here on the main page?
Yeah, if you go down to there's buttons there for judge applications.
Right there. Perfect.
Yeah. Yep.
So if you are a top 100 tournament player, if you organize tournaments, if you're a social media provider in pinball, if you write anything pinball related, video content creator, streamer, or podcaster, please apply to be a judge for the Pinball Awards. This is an award ceremony that I know I'm a part of. Dennis, George, and Mike. Actually, we're all part of the chair here, or the board.
Governance committee, as we commonly call it.
There we go. You can tell I'm on a lot of these committees because I'm super good with the vocab. Anyways, this is going to be really cool. This is going to happen later on this month, but we do need judges for that. So if you create content, great, be a judge. If you don't, if you just consume the content and you enjoy consuming the content, there's a public voting application that's something new this year where we're going to allow the public to vote in this as well, just like the Game Awards do for video games. So either way, go to the Pinball Industry Awards or type in pinballawards.com, apply. So if you're watching this now or later, applications are due by the 7th?
The 7th.
7th.
Basically, end of day, the 7th in America. Depends on your time zone, of course.
Perfect. So yes, please do that. And then once we go through all the applicants or whatnot, then we'll send out we actually individually send out all the ballots. And then that way we know there's no ballot stuffing or buying votes or any of that crap. So it's awesome. Super exciting. TWIPYs are going on right now. You can vote. And I was going to pull this up. This will be similar to what we'll vote for in Pinball Awards. There are some differences in games, but I thought it would be worth discussing this amongst the four of us. Obviously, chat, feel free to share your votes. Let's look at this. We got about a half hour. Let's see what our thoughts are here. So these are the games. Yep, we can see that on screen. So the games: Funhouse 2.0, Flipper Foxtrot, Super Hoops, Rush, James Bond. Gomez, James Bond, Toy Story, and Weird Al. So category number 1, best theme. Maybe we'll just work our way through. So George, if you have your answer, what is your thought on best theme?
Sorry, I don't have those pulled up. What were the games again?
I have them pulled up on the screen. Sorry, Funhouse 2.0, Flipper Foxtrot, Super Hoops, and then Rush, James Bond, Toy Story 4, Weird Al.
Oh, Toy Story 4.
Best theme. Toy Story 4. Mike.
If we're just talking about theme and we're taking any game or gameplay out of it, I'm going to say James Bond.
Dennis.
James Bond.
I agree with you guys. I'm between the two. I think I have to go James Bond in this, and the reason being is I think if it would have been Toy Story or all the Toy Story movies, I think Toy Story, yes. Toy Story 4, I don't know. I mean, there's probably numbers that follow that on there. I mean, there's got to be way more people that have seen cumulatively all the James Bond. It's spanned 60 years. So,
but the James Bond 007 is only the Connery movie.
Crap. That's a good point. Toy Story grew on me. Weird Al is very close second. I mean, this is what's interesting. TWIPY, vote for whatever you want. Vote for whatever you want. Maybe you really like basketball and you want to vote Super Hoops. Like, vote for whatever
It's
you
actually
want.
just one hoop.
Oh, Super Hoop. One hoop. Yep. What's interesting with the Pinball Awards is if you are a judge, you're trying to take your personal feelings out of it, and you're trying to really be like legitimate. And that's where I'm sorry, like Funhouse 2.0, no, Flipper Foxtrot, Super Hoop. These are all it's not licensed.
Pinball Awards won't ask you this question because we decided that just asking theme on pure theme without any concept of integration into the game was a pointless question.
Okay, that's great. So best theme integrations, it makes more sense. So best theme, it's gonna come down to Toy Story or James Bond. I think.
You don't think Rush? You don't think the Canadians, other than Mike, will all go out and vote just Rush on theme?
I mean, Mike didn't vote Rush.
Yeah, he's weird though. He's like a Street Fighter guy.
We're only required to own the pinball machine. We don't need to vote on them.
Oh, okay. So Tom Graff will vote Rush. Scott Larson with Loser Kid will vote Rush. Ed Robinson will vote Rush. I can guarantee those three. Ray Day will vote Rush. Zach Mini will not. Okay, so we'll keep going here. Best animations and display. Okay, so this is what's interesting because Flipper Foxtrot, it's all custom. James Bond is all movie clips. Cactus Canyon Remake is in this category. So the XL display with all the colors. Super Hoop, custom. Weird Al has the back box animations and the whole, technically the entire playfield or 2/3 of it count. Funhouse 2.0, all new custom animations. And then you have Rush and Toy Story. So what I will say is JP DeWin, the animator of JJP, he has won every single best animations of all of the previous, 4 games? I don't know. We'll start with Mike. Thoughts?
Okay. So my thoughts. I have two thoughts. One, I really, really, really like the colored circles that James Bond has when you're playing the game a lot. So if it's really close, it's close, but I think I'm going to tip my hat over to JJP and go with Toy Story 4.
Okay. All right. Dennis.
I agree with Mike. As much as the circle is one of my most favorite shapes, I really like the display work on Toy Story 4. I think it's very impressive.
I do agree. I think I will go Toy Story 4 as well. I mean, don't get me wrong. The actual custom DMD artwork that Funhouse 2.0 and then Cactus Canyon have, I think look really cool. There's no denying that. But when you're actually sitting there watching the integration they have of film clips plus an easy to understand display of what you need to do, where you need to go, what you have qualified, I have no complaints in the visual aspects of Toy Story 4. So I agree with that. George.
So this isn't the Pinball Awards, right? Not trying to be
no. This is
unbiased.
personal. This is whatever you're feeling.
Personal. Yeah, I'd go Toy Story 4.
Okay. All right.
One thing I want to say first before we move on to the next, it would be really quick. If Rush had the same size screen as Toy Story 4, it would be a tougher call for me, only because they did a really good job of explaining everything going on in that game on the Rush. It's just the screen is a little too small to fit all that. Because I really love the concert footage. I love the videos. I love all that stuff. It's just there's too much in such a small space. So if it was the same size and we're comparing apples to apples, it would be a much closer call for me.
I agree with that. I think Ray Day and Timmy and the whole crew did a lot with Rush to make it enjoyable to look at and informative. Well, if we're gonna play the size game, though, I mean, Weird Al is bigger. It's even bigger screen. But I do think Weird Al has the best animations of any of the P3 games so far. But it is still very much kind of seems like a Flash type style.
Yeah, it's a phone game. It looks like a phone. The gameplay's not a phone game, but you see, that's where maybe there's such a thing as too big, because the issue is all the other games get to, this would be a little unfair perhaps to say, but they get to hide behind the fact that they pay a competent artist to do most of the playfield art.
Yeah.
You know, you get this multi-$1,000 effort, and then with P3 you're forced to have something that every frame is different, and they're having to occupy that with basically a skeleton programming crew. And in an era of AAA video games, it cannot visually compete, and that's why Flash games or a basic phone game is the quality of the animation, because they have to put so much of it in.
Yeah, you're right. So Mike, you're saying Toy Story 4 for one, and then your second choice, you're thinking Rush would be your second choice?
Yeah. I would go Rush. I think like I said, the only thing is the size of the screen that really.
Sure.
And James Bond Dot was his number 3.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Toys and Mechs. So this is funny that we lost some now because of it. So Toys and Mechs, you have Rush, James Bond, Toy Story 4, Super Hoop, and Weird Al. So Toys and Mech. So real quick, Rush, you got a few ramps, the laundry machine, the washing machine with the ramp. I mean, there's some drops, there's some good stuff. You got James Bond on a wand and the rocket, some cool ramps. Toy Story, you got the big iPad in the upper left and some ramps, 4 pop bumpers. Duke Kaboom, don't forget Duke Kaboom ramp. Super Hoop, I will say I've never played it. But it looks like there's some stuff in that game. Like I maybe it's worth, before I do my voting, pulling up a picture. Weird Al has a lot. There's a lot going on in Weird Al. So Dennis, you're actually first. What are you?
Yeah, and before I do the Pinball Awards voting, I will be re-reviewing Super Hoop, because I need to analyze the layout again. I've looked at it, but I need to do a better job of it. So I won't weigh in on that. My problem on this category is I actually like the toys on all the other games, but I don't love any of them. Like the hamster wheel is cool, but I don't love it. And the rocking rampy thing on Weird Al is also neat, but I don't love it. Rush is out for me because they just poached the ring from Lord of the Rings and reused it. So even though I think it's a cool toy, it feels pretty redundant. Jump ramp is straight out of Joker's. It just pops up faster on Toy Story 4. So I will go with the vibrating rocket and choose 007.
No way.
Not Bond on a wand, though, because
way.
that's straight out of Rescue 911, and I can't endorse that either because it's also stolen. So, but you know what? A vibrating rocket, that's new.
So you're
Well,
solely
new for pinball.
So you're solely based on what you feel is new. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's, you could say is that should be more of an innovation thing.
What's
But
the
for me, it's hard to
yeah.
think of toy. If I see the same toy, like I'm not picking something off its pop bumpers. I see those
Yeah.
all the time. So why would I think that's the best? That mech's in everything.
What other machine have you seen a hamster wheel?
It doesn't do it. It just all it does is spin.
You lock a ball in it.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry, Maverick.
Ball with the ferry wheel or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's just a faster ferry wheel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I've seen it all, Joel. I've seen it all.
Yeah.
I've seen it all.
You're okay. So you're gonna go with Bond. I did not expect you to say that, Dennis. I did not expect you to say that. What I will say is I've played all these games except for Super Hoop. I will tell you the mech that I've had the most fun with is the Duke of Boom Ramp. That is the mech that I get the most fun and satisfaction with. Me, a mech like Godzilla, that's something that if people come over, I want them to experience that mech. I shoot the building and watch what happens. Like that is my view on toys and mech. When I had Toy Story here, that was what I said with Duke. Like Rush, when it was here, I was like, yeah, shoot it up in there. And they're like, oh, cool, the ball stayed. But they once they've done it once, they've done it once. But the Duke of Boom Ramp was something that I genuinely enjoyed doing. So I think I'm going to go, out of my personal opinion, for TWIPYs, I'm going to go Toy Story 4. Even though there's nothing else besides, I hate 4 pop bumpers. I hated that. But I love the Duke of Boom Ramp. So I think I'm going to go Toy Story 4. George, what are you thinking?
I unbiased, I feel like I have to vote for Multimorphic because there's just so much in terms of innovation. Just modular flippers alone is huge. Okay. And it's weird because it's not specific to this game. So it's kind of hard to vote for Multimorphic, but my biased opinion is every time I've come across a Multimorphic, they've been broken or it doesn't play right. And the fact that the flippers are hidden up top and I can never guess when to actually flip the flipper because it's so perfectly in line with the rails. It's weird. I just don't enjoy it. And anyone I know who's had one is trying to get rid of them or has gotten rid of them. So I got to go Toy Story. That was the most surprising, fun game that I played at Expo. And for the same reason, Joel, that Duke Kaboom ramp, when it pops up and you hit it, it's stupid. It's silly. It's been done before. It's nothing new, but out of everything that I've had the opportunity to play this year, it did totally biased. I really enjoyed playing that game.
So don't tell Zach, but anytime he lets me borrow a game, if they have keychains in the goodie bag, I keep one when I give it back. So like there's the Godzilla one. So the one that I kept out of Toy Story is Kaboom. It's the best part. Like it's absolutely the best part of Toy Story. But all right, Mike, what are you thinking?
Okay, so you guys make some really good points. I like all the mechs in Toy Story now, and there's none of them that are innovative at all. But there's a lot of them. You have the spinning disc, you have the jump ramp, all the things you guys mentioned, the bash toy that pops up, and James Bond has a couple cool ones. I like the dropping the ball, the Bond on a wand, but I'm voting for this. Not only okay, so my vote is for Rush. Okay, and I'm going to explain why. And it has nothing to do with me being Canadian. Okay, so you can laugh all you want, but I will explain it. And it's okay. So the most useful mech that I have seen this year, in my opinion, is the diverter.
Okay.
The button that you can hit to change where the ball ends up on which flipper. That is a very overlooked mech. Yes, it's simple, it's whatever, but there hasn't really been anything done like that specifically before. There's Well, I mean, whatever. That didn't work most of the time anyway on those games. So, second, the drum kit. I really like the drum kit with the little
Oh, the
clock,
clock,
and the it gave you the time and gave you the progress to the clock on it. As well, yes, the magnet was done before, but it also has an up ramp, just like Toy Story does. You just don't jump off of it. It goes into the magnet that holds the ball, which can either shoot the ball back down at your flippers or shoot it back through. You can keep laughing as much as you want, Dennis. And I truly think that Rush has the best toys and mechs.
So, okay, so they're not the drum, the clock. Oh, never mind.
It's a
Funhouse
toy.
Funhouse has a clock. No, it's or not.
But the
Funhouse,
clock,
Twilight.
but the clock on the drums is useful to show your progress through your drum multi-ball and all that stuff as well. Also, the scoops. It's like sort of an individual scoop that can kick the ball out of either side of the scoop on the premium and the LE.
I absolutely think the top 3 games in this category will be Rush, Toy Story, and Weird Al. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not following Dennis's vibrating rocket. I don't think that's going to get a lot.
The car Vuck.
Oh, true. Okay. I think Rush has a chance. I do think Rush has a chance to win this. I went off of and I will really have to think hard when we do the Pinball Awards on what I feel justifies this vote. But I agree. Yeah. In my opinion, maybe it's because I had the Pro Rush. Yeah.
In my opinion, when we're talking toys and mechs, I'm talking about Toy Story has a lot of them, but there's nothing new in it. Bond has new stuff in it, and I do think that Rush has a couple of things in it that are a little unique as well. So I really do think that those two are probably the best two in the category, just based on my opinion of what the category should be.
Sure,
not necessarily what it actually is. But
Mike, you sold me. I'm actually changing. I'm going over to Rush.
Okay.
I'm gonna add the 3 drop targets, the Walking Dead drop targets that when they open, create a target that you can hit in the back on the LE and premium, and then the targets go
fork
up
and the little lock. Yeah,
it becomes a captive ball. That's actually that I think is the coolest mech to come out of 2022. And none of that was really new, but I really appreciate and like that mech. And then you add in the drum, despite the fact that you don't need it for gameplay, it still is pretty cool.
Yes, and Ray Day's sitting somewhere going like this, but no, I do think Rush has a solid choice here. So, all right, best sound. So I'm gonna have to go first here. So it includes music, callouts, and sound effects. I will tell you right now, Toy Story 4 is not the answer. Toy Story 4 is one of the only games. Well, never mind. There's 2. There's of all the games that I've streamed that I've borrowed from Zach, there are 2 that I legitimately am. I turned down. Like, I don't want to listen to it anymore. And it was Toy Story 4 and it was James Bond. James Bond right now, it's one song on repeat. These 2, bottom of the list. So I have not played Flipper Foxtrot. I don't know how good the music is in it, but I in my opinion, I think this is going to come down to Rush versus Weird Al. Rush obviously has call-outs from the band members, and it's filled with Rush music, and there was no sound in that game that I felt was grating or anything like that. So I do feel like Rush has very good sound. And then Weird Al, obviously music from Weird Al, and then all the additional music was actually made by Scott Denisi. So I do think Weird Al actually has really good music as well. So it might be just personal preference at this point. But this is rough. This is going to be very hard on the Pinball Awards. If I'm just going to go off of personal, I'm going to give my buddy Scott a pat on the back. So I'm going to go Weird Al. Go ahead, George.
Despite the fact that there's, I feel like a lot of Canadian accents, I'm going to go Rush.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Should we skip Mike? Do we know what he's going to? Do we know it? Yeah.
Because there's a lot of Canadian accents and a lot of Canadian in the game, I am choosing Rush.
Yeah. So TX in chat is saying the same thing. Weird Al or Rush. Okay, Dennis, surprise me. What are you saying here?
I would lean Rush, except I think this is sound entirely, so I guess. So I think the callouts are horrid in Rush. I absolutely hate them. They are as dead as Alice Cooper's callouts were, so I'm gonna go Weird Al.
Okay. Yeah, I think we got like Weird Al's call outs, actual from Weird Al, are pretty great. Like he went all in. He went all
No,
in.
I think the sound pad, and I need to re-listen to. I have heard Flipper Foxtrot, but I need to re-listen to it. I think it's a very dance mix though, so it might sway me away from Weird Al. But
Yeah, my second choice would be Weird Al too. It really there's only two horses in that race, and it's Weird Al and Rush. To be honest, like Bond could be good, but it's just not there yet. That's the only thing, right? I mean, it's
and I'm changing my best toys to a Super Hoop. By the way, I've looked at it now. I didn't realize it had player-controlled slings.
Oh.
And I know it didn't work for WWE, but I believe finally someone figured it out.
All right. Good.
I think time will tell on WWE, by the way. I think that game is due for a comeback.
Yeah.
Finish the code. Just finish the code.
Feel free to
No, don't leave it like Wheel of Fortune in the dustbin of history.
Feel free to bring it back, George. I will. I'd
No,
love to see
do
those
not
straight,
feel
Jeff.
free, George.
All right. Best rules. I do think it's awesome that they're calling this the Lyman F. Sheet Junior Award. So best rules. George, you're gonna go first, and I think I know your answer.
Rush, hands down, pants off, the whole thing. It's Rush.
I've never heard anybody say hands down, pants off. Okay, I'm a fan of that. That's fantastic. Yeah. Specifically because of what Tim Sexton did, right? It's not Raymond Davidson. It's mostly what Tim Sexton coded. We can all agree on that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Absolutely.
Good.
It's everything I want out of a game where every single mode is unique. It's almost like every mode in that game is its own mini game.
Yeah.
And it's fun because it got me to want to actually push for more points on like big money or do things faster by hitting the appropriate double flashing shots once I figured it out in the working man or working till 8. I can't remember the name of the mode, and Rush has been dead sitting in the corner for 12 weeks, so I haven't played it anytime recently. But
the node board, you had a node board die.
Yeah, it died, and then they sent a node board, and I think they sent the wrong one, and so I don't know. I may have to wait another 12 weeks. But it's awesome. It's great. And the wizard mode on it, Cygnus, is just fantastic. It rewards you. It's just top to bottom. It is a very cool game to play once you figure out the records.
Yeah, you need that baby's first to understand it. But
yeah.
Mike, what is your pick and why is it Rush?
I'm going hands up, pants off, and we're going Rush. We're going Rush as well. I mean, for all the reasons George said. I mean, the game is probably I would say it's just as deep, if not maybe even a little deeper than Godzilla. There's a lot to know in the game, and if you're a Rush fan, you can actually be better at the game just by knowing what song to match with what record, that sort of thing, right? With the combos, the modes are all very different. They're fun to chase. They're fun to try and boost up your scoring. It's one of the only games where I'll start the game and say I want to work on a specific mode, and I'll play it and I'll mess around with it. Then I'll reset the game because I want to try it again and keep going and just keep trying to see what kind of scores I can get on each mode. So it's definitely Rush for sure.
Nice, Dennis. I'm thinking you're not gonna say Rush.
I will, because I don't want to be harassed by Raymond after he watches the recording. I can only take so much stress in my life. I mean, I don't love the rules on any of these.
Okay.
Quite honestly, I would normally lean actually towards Toy Story 4 for its intuitiveness, but the Bo Peep loop crap just defaultly kills it. Kills it and makes it unfun. I actually do think Rush has the strongest rule set. I just think it's unfortunate that it's I think it's very unapproachable to people that are not used to pinball to go up to it. I think that's his biggest problem. I think, and maybe that's because the coding teams on it and Led Zeppelin for that matter are very good players. and maybe don't always remember what it's like to be someone who doesn't know what they're doing. And I think that's why Raymond's Baby's First tutorial went over so well with the public.
Yeah.
Is what he thought was just obvious was not to a lot of people. But in terms of the actual structure of the rules, it is easily the strongest, with the caveat that I don't know Super Hoops rules.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I don't feel for TWIPYs, I don't feel bad voting for whatever I know. Like I don't know Flipper Foxtrot. I feel like before I vote for the Pinball Awards, I need to watch a full stream of Flipper Foxtrot. I need to watch a full stream of Fun House. I need to watch a full, if there's a stream of Super Hoops, I need to give them a chance. But for this, and I'm just picking what I like. James Bond, the rules aren't there yet. I don't. And then Weird Al has unique modes. Like their modes are unique. Like the Germs mode is really cool. I do think those are fun. Once you get into the modes, they are unique. Toy Story, I did enjoy the code, but I saw it all, and I'm with you. The Bo Peep loops, boy, did that wear me out. So I think I'm gonna go Rush 2 as well. What beat me up on Rush wasn't the code; it was the layout. And I agree. I think Rush will win this, and I think it deserves to win this. Best Playfield gameplay and layout. So Rush, Super Hoop, James Bond, Weird Al, Toy Story 4. So I don't know who went. Is it Mike's turn? I think it's Mike's turn.
Okay, so this category is slightly confusing because it's best playfield gameplay and layout. So are we going with rules again?
No, how does it shoot?
Or are we going with code? How does it shoot? Well then I'm gonna
but gameplay involves rules. That's why
that's
strangely phrased.
It's like if I'm not talking about the code and the rules and just talking about the playfield layout and the shots and whatnot, I'd actually probably go James Bond.
Okay, just making sure it was still. You're going with James. Do you think
I would go James Bond, and not because I think I would like it more than maybe I like Rush or whatnot, but Rush isn't that original of a layout. I had Rush and X-Men here at the same time, and they are extremely similar layouts.
Okay.
And like Dennis pointed out, the ring from Lord of the Rings, it's there's not a whole lot of innovation in the layout. So I would lean towards giving it to James Bond because I think the game layout looks amazing and the shots look really cool. I've never played one, but I think I would like that much better. And I'm going by personal choice here, not what I.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right, Dennis, what are you feeling?
Yeah, and I still haven't played our location James Bond yet. So personal choice, I'm gonna do what Mike did and just say just on layout, I'd actually go with Toy Story 4. I think that's a really solid, enjoyable layout. I think it's the rules that frustrate, the ease of getting through it, and acknowledging that I'm not someone who has gotten through it, but playing through it, it was the rules that were frustrating me. The layout I thought was actually pretty fun with a little spinning disc, and of course, the Duke Kaboom jump wrap is a ton of fun to hit.
Yes.
So, and that I'm giving it a lot. Rush's layout's okay. I think it's better than X-Men. Which is I think it's an improvement, but I feel like I'm in scoops an awful lot with Rush, and I don't like scoops, so I want it. And Bond looks like I think without playing it that I like half of the layout, and the other half I think might frustrate me. I'm not sure yet though.
Rush beat me up. I've played a premium in LE. They shot better than the Pro I had, but I agree. The layout wasn't. There weren't shots that I found super satisfying. Super Hoop I haven't played. James Bond I have it. I've put plenty of time on it. There's one shot on the game that I find satisfying. Everything else is it's fine. It's fine. Weird Al I've put about an hour on it, and some of the shots are really hard to hit. So it surprised me that there was a podcast that said it has one of the best shots ever in pinball. I just wasn't finding it. The swirly ramp. I don't know. So I will say out of this list, what have I enjoyed shooting the most? It would be Toy Story. I hate the 4 pop bumpers in the back because the ball just goes back there and just goes nuts. And then it's either going to go to the buzz saucer on the left or it spits out on the right. There were plenty of times I felt like the ball just got stuck back there. But besides that, every other shot, if I was ever in a mode and I had to hit anything specific, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the shots. So my favorite layout so far last year to shoot was Toy Story 4. George.
Toy Story. I played obviously a bunch of Rush. I haven't played Hoops. I got to play a few hours of Weird Al, and I have the same issue. I struggled to ever make any of the upper playfield shots from the upper flipper, or upper ramp shots from the upper flipper, and I played a decent amount of Bond, probably 20 to 30 games at this point, and I found myself consistently going back to Toy Story. It was a lot of fun to play. It just very satisfying.
Yeah. I have said this before on Triple Drain. It kind of makes me happy that the Toy Story pricings are coming down because it's bringing it into a range, a used one that I could potentially afford. If they changed the sound in the game, and if they added some additional code, if Joe Katz did a 2.0 version, I legit would consider bringing Toy Story back into the house, and that could be huge. That could absolutely be huge. But all right, best artwork. So I think Mike went. So Dennis, Weird Al, James Bond, Toy Story, Super Hoop, Rush, Funhouse 2.0.
Bond. And the reason I'm choosing it is I think the Photoshop era has been by the wayside for too long, and we need to bring it back. We need to bring back where art just didn't matter. And that's what James Bond tells us, is that art just doesn't matter. So my legitimate pick would be Toy Story.
Okay. All right. I do think the Super Hoop art is unique. I think it's cool. It's just I think it's well drawn. Rush didn't blow me away. I mean, if I was a Rush super fan, there's a lot that they hid in there, so I could understand why Rush would get votes. Funhouse 2.0, the mayo on the hot dog is a turnoff to me, but it is unique, cartoony, but the playfield is the same playfield. I am between Weird Al and Toy Story. I think Matt Andrews. I think he did a really good job with the cabinet artwork. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at playfield and cabinet artwork. I am definitely between those two, but because the P3 is at a weird spot where I feel like I have to also include the video artwork as well, which is not on the same level as the Matt Andrews art. I'm gonna give it to Toy Story, but my second choice would be Weird Al. Go ahead, George.
I want to give it to Rush, but man, the band members in the center of that field, it's so bad. But outside of that, I actually really like Rush. I've got the LE, I'm looking at it, and it is gorgeous. It's steampunk.
Yeah.
It's musical steampunk, and it is amazing. But God, the center of that playfield is so bad. Yeah. So I think playfield wise, I got to give it to Toy Story. It's a beautiful game. It is. Once again, it plays well. Biased opinion is I walk up to that game and it's mind-blowingly cool with the colors and how everything is laid out. It feels very much like Toy Story.
Yep. It is a game that I have missed, believe it or not, since it's gone. But all right, so the tough one here, game of the year.
Do I get a choice on art?
Nope. We're skipping you.
Why? Because you think I'm going to choose Rush?
You're going to pick Rush? No. Fine, don't pick Rush, Mike. What's your favorite art package?
Okay, so I do want to pick Rush. I do want to pick Rush. I do, but I also do not like the the band members in the middle of the playfield, and also on the Pro, there's actually an error in the art on the cabinet. The little keys on the end of the guitar.
The tuning,
one side has 4, and the other side has 3.
Yep.
So I think UC is an amazing artist, and I have to go with Toy Story 4.
Oh, so you are going with Toy Story 4?
Yes, Toy Story 4. Yeah.
All right. Game of the year. So what's interesting here is and I don't quite understand it, but Funhouse isn't allowed. Cactus Candy
and
Remake
Flipper Foxtrot isn't allowed.
I don't know. But yeah, Weird Al. So this is what we get. So Rush, Super Hoop, Weird Al, Toy Story 4, James Bond. So who's up?
You're up.
I'm
Joel.
up. feel like I should just let Mike go so I don't forget him. Well, if I go based off of what I voted Toy Story 4 in the majority of the categories. I think this is going to come down between Toy Story and Rush. I think that's what it's going to come down to. GNR won Game of the Year, so I think there was a lot of question that year of like, okay, does JJP, all the JJP fanboys, do they go nuts? But Rush has really come along. I think if I'm gonna go, this will be hard. This will be hard for me to do for Pinball Awards. But if I'm gonna go solely based off of my own personal opinion, if I could pull one of these back into my house, I would take Toy Story 4. I would take Toy Story 4 over Rush. In my household, the kids loved it, and friends and family, all that fun stuff. So I want to hit that Duke of Boom rant, man. That's what I want. That's what I want right now. So I would go Toy Story 4. Even though it costs too much and the code needs tweaked. George, go ahead.
I got to give it to Rush. I think it is right now a better game. And as much as I would love to have Toy Story, it needs a Joe Katz rule set upgrade. It needs to come down a little bit more in price. And yeah, everything that you and potentially I think it was Dennis said earlier. So
Okay.
yeah, I gotta go Rush.
All right. Mike. I think we know. I think we know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Rush. It's definitely Rush. I've played Toy Story, and I think it shoots great. I'm not a particular fan of the rules. I don't like the repetitive music, that sort of stuff, which can all be fixed. And
Yep.
If it does get fixed, I mean, I'll never be able to vote for it as Game of the Year because we're in a new year.
Yeah.
So right now, my vote is for Rush.
Yeah. And Dennis.
Yeah, Rush. It's the most comprehensive package on quality where it matters. So
Sure.
where I think it stumbles, it's still overall it's just the best. I think it's just the best executed game.
Yeah, I agree. I think Rush will win. I personally think Rush will win. But
I hate to drag things out, but I do want to ask a piggyback question related to that if I could, because it's something I've been wondering about. What do you all think in terms of year of the year? Is 2022's game lineup better, worse, or the same as 2021's releases? Because, since I threw it out, I'll start. I think 2022 was worse than 2021. I think we got worse pinball machines.
What did 2021 had? What, Godzilla?
Yes, Godzilla. It had Mandalorian.
Mando.
Mandalorian. It had Led Zeppelin. It had Celts. It also had Halloween and Ultraman. It had the pin version of Jurassic Park. Legends of Valhalla was 2021. And then the P3 games, Silver Falls, Sorcerer's Apprentice, and Shoot and Scoot. At least TWIPY's counted all of those as 2021 games.
I agree. What would be interesting, I agree. I think that year had a better set of games. What would be interesting though is if you took Godzilla out. If you took Godzilla out, would 2021 still have better games than 2022?
Okay, well, what if 2020? Let me double up on that and answer your question with another question. If we take Godzilla out of 2021 and Rush out of 2022, then which year is better?
Oh, 21. I still think 21's better.
You don't think Toy Story beats up like Mando or something?
Not when you compound it with Mando and all the other Mando, Zeppelin, like.
Yeah, no one liked Zeppelin though.
I did. Mike
Except
does.
Mike, because he's Canadian.
What do you, Mike or George? What are your thoughts?
2021.
Yeah.
We're back to with all the games, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's 2021 hands down. Actually, I will go a little further and say that 2022 has been one of the worst years in recent memory for pinball.
If you ignore, yeah. So let me show this real quick. And so the Pinball Awards, these are the games that we are including in the Pinball Awards. So Jamestown, Toy Story, Cactus Canyon, those are the same. Weird Al, Flipper Foxtrot, but we are including Fathom because it wasn't included in the year before, and we're including Alien, We're also including this as Spinal Tap because technically there were some that were shipped. And then Super Hoop and Rudy's Nightmare Castle. So the question is, does Spinal Tap, Fathom, or Alien, would one of those 3 games win any of the categories that we just went over?
Fathom could win art.
I think Alien could win some of the categories too. Definitely if you're talking like theme integration and whatnot. I think the only problem with it is a lot of people haven't played it, so they won't really have much of an opinion on it.
Theme integration, not best theme. Maybe best theme.
Well, even best theme too. Yeah, best theme. I mean, the layout is great too. It's actually a really, really unique layout.
Ooh.
I mean, yeah.
Text Alien for toys and mechs. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Alien for toys. That will probably come more down to the judges whether or not they feel like it's, since they're all essentially the same, toys and mechs as the highway iteration, whether they're willing to give it new credence. So that's up to each judge. And of course, CCR is up for just a couple of categories, like rules, because the CCR, even though the enhanced rule set isn't out yet, they did code complete the original version that has been shipping. So that is actually a one-time option in the rules category. I don't think it wins, but I could, it's conceivable that maybe it gets a support.
Interesting.
Spinal Tap could win too because it goes to 11.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Jeez, man, Spinal Tap. Fathom's a good looking game though.
Yeah, no, Fathom. And I don't remember all of our categories off the I think lighting is an option though, also in the pinball awards. So Fathom, I think Fathom and Alien both are strong contenders on lighting because their effect packages are extremely good.
Yeah.
Of course, Rush's with the expression at lighting, but a lot of people didn't experience Rush's expression lighting. So
I agree.
I don't know.
Well, the next page of TWIPYs is all the social media people. So we'll just vote for all of us, for all the good stuff. So I think we're not going to go through that. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here. So let's plug it up. We'll go around the circle. So George, obviously, go first. Thanks for being here. Plug away, man.
Thanks for having me. My name is George. I stream on Don't Panic Flip and TPN. I do enjoy long walks on the beach, and thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you. I know sometimes you sit back and I can tell you're really thinking, and then all of a sudden, boom! It's you bring some quality thought to the show. So thank you, George, for being here. Dennis, plug away.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I like to be able to sit forward and just blather a bunch of really stupid stuff to serve as a valuable counterweight, which is why I don't stream. It's too hard for me, and instead I host podcasts. Yeah. So I host over the Pinball Show, which is on the Pinball Network, with Zach Minnie, and then with Tony, I co-host Eclectic Gamers podcast.
Yes, awesome. And Tex, night man, thanks for being here. And then Mike, go for it, bud.
You can check us out at Pinballers, twitch.tv/Pinballers. We're also on Facebook as well as Pinballers, Pinball and Retro Streams, and Instagram at TTV Pinballers. And I'm always repping my Street Fighter.
That looks like okay. When you lifted it, I thought it was the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
It's the bonus level from Street Fighter.
There you go, Street Fighter Mike, the one, the only. I'm Joel. I do the Triple Drain Pinball podcast. We are actually going to record our next episode tomorrow night, so that should go well. Pretty excited about that. And then I do this. I'm now just doing this stream every Wednesday night here on YouTube, which should be a good time. What I will say is there's no way for me to raid somebody. I can't raid anybody on YouTube. So I did just pull up the Twitch pinball stream, and it looks like our buddy Frisco or Hottie is streaming. So if you want some cool virtual pin, everybody go say hey to Hottie. Otherwise, Vinny Blanc is playing some Willy Wonka. Go say hi to him. So those would be the 2 streams that I would recommend. But appreciate you 3. Appreciate you being here. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, try catching the live show. Thanks for everybody in chat. Everybody have a great night. See you later.